join the fights and actually have a presence, I think their draft looks really, really nice to play.
And it's, you know, you've got to be excited to see it, right? Another game, Yatoro just continuing to show off his versatility of carry heroes. This is crazy here. Here in the grand finals, Naga Siren coming out. I mean, when you've seen how the man can play on all the list of heroes that he's pulled out so far, there's no reason to doubt that he can't pull out a top-tier performance on any of the carries available in the game.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, he's shown that he can play pretty much every single hero in the game. I've been so impressed by it. And the crazy thing is how flexible he is, too, and playing, like, he can play hard carry one game, and then the next game he's playing tempo. And this has led to, I think, Spirit having, like, the versatility in their draft and the ability to adapt the way they have throughout the tournament is, in my opinion, in large part because he's so versatile in his playstyle.
Yeah, I mean, as sort of a drafter, you know, when you come into a series or against Team Spirit, what do you do about the fact that they have sort of this special power in Yatoro's sort of hero pool? Like, do you just sort of ignore the carry? Do you still bother banning them out, or do you look elsewhere? Like, what is the best way to tackle this team?
I mean, if I knew the answer, I'd, you know, would have probably known how to beat them by now. But I feel like the thing is, they just seem to. You deal with collapse, then Yatoro goes out of control. You aim for Yatoro, and then you have collapse and Toronto Tokyo going out of control. And I feel like a lot of this is heavily due to the fact that they play so well around vision. When I looked at the teams throughout the tournament, I feel like what Spirit has done that no other team does nearly as well as them, and I would even bring LGD into that category, is they control vision. They're really good about playing around wards. They understand when they can fight into wards, and they understand when they have to avoid it. So I think for Team Spirit, this game is going to be a lot about can they deward LGD, remove LGD's information, and have more information to play with.
Sure. And for PSG LGD, of course, they've managed to charge their way straight to the finals through the upper bracket. When you look at what they've got here in this first game, what is it about this lineup that's worked sort of with the play style that they've been able to just destroy teams in their run-up to the grand finals?
I mean, this looks very similar to their tiny sort of draft fight. You're going to have this one core that's going to be unbeatable. They have this mid laner that's going to provide control and lockdown for them so that he's going to be able to output damage. You have the glimpse to bring people back to the Ursa. So the concept for LGD is very much like, we're going to hit our timing, and once we do, you cannot touch us. And I think for Spirit, the problem will be, if LGD is allowed to freely just get to their timings, get that Aegis on the Ursa, where they can start ignoring the Tide Ravage, or even fighting without the Wolf Bite from the Lycan, that's when they're going to be at their strongest. So I'm expecting all hell to break loose after the laning phase.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see it. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, finally getting into the action of Game 1 beginning between Team Spirit and PSG LGD. Let's see if that chaos starts coming quick and fast. We know that both teams are very much able to bring it with some of the fantastic performances they've given us so far on the main stage.
Yeah, and straight away Yatoro's coming out with a really smart play. He sends his illusions within the tower range, but he puts them in an area where the tower doesn't have vision. And by doing that, he will scout out the ward immediately from LGD. And this is what I mean, right? Spirit are so on top of all of the small things that will give them any sort of information advantage, where they will have more vision than their opponents.
Let's see if they're able to maintain it throughout the early stages of the game, where it's very likely for those movements to be coming from lane to lane. See both teams avoid one another here for the bounty runes. Bit of a poke onto Maposhka, as Yatoro will still be able to grab that bounty rune. In fact, as you can see, 3 bounty runes to start things off here for Spirit, so a bit of a cash bonus to begin the lanes with.
Yeah, and that was nicely scouted out by the ET. They find the information of where and how many heroes has LGD brought to which runes, and then they can split up their heroes accordingly and make sure that they get the advantage on the runes.
Let's look at some of these matchups. The mid lane, Pango versus Void Spirit, Toronto Tokyo versus Nothing to Say. What are we going to have going on here in the early few waves?
I think most likely it's going to be a pretty farm-heavy lane. I don't think really either of the two heroes are going to aim to kill each other. Probably going to be a lot of trying to push out the waves, control the runes, and then around 6 minutes when the real rune spawns, that's when you'll see both the supports collapse on a mid lane. Because I think both Pango and Void Spirit really rely on that rune control.
And looking at both sort of the side lanes, the 2 carries, Arme and Yatoro, who's going to have the easier time?
I think if you take a look at top lane, you see Ursa against Tidehunters, generally a pretty good lane matchup because you think of how the Fury Swipes stack up on him. And they have the sustain to tank the harassment that's coming out from Team Spirit. So I think as they level up on the top lane, I imagine the Wisp Ursa will do fairly well up top. But with that said, I think Collapse is still going to have a decent game.
Yeah, I mean, Collapse has definitely been that solid rock of a player for Spirit time after time. He's been the one that they have, been very happy to give that prioritization, get his game into a good shape, so that he can be the one to lead the charge into the team fights and start the action off for Spirit in those mid-game.
Yeah, absolutely. And bottom lane, Yatoro's kind of playing this type of laning where you're not going to be pressured at all. Team LGD's priority here is just trying to get their Lycan farmed, and make sure that they're like playing for their own farm. So Yatoro's gonna have a great start, and he has the ability to farm up the jungle because he has the illusions that can both push out the wave and from the jungle camp. So I expect Yatoro to be leading the net worth charts as soon as we get into around the 5-minute mark of the game.
Yeah. One of the reasons why Yatoro's been as scary as he can, even if the lane was a tough one, he always seems to be able to recover. So the fact that he's going to have a decent time to start off things, you know that he will be on track to hit some pretty insane CS. It really is going to be completely down to how much PSG LGD can find in terms of getting their Ursa involved in the kills early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just some trade-offs going on, but you can tell already from the net worth graphs that Team Spirit has set up their lanes to have very good farm on all 3 of their cores.
Certainly showing so far here on the early CS. Both side lane cores for PSG LGD just struggling a slightly bit more. It was very early days though.
But a lot of levels coming in LGD's way. Like this Lycan is doing surprisingly fine. He's not really getting pressured that much by the Naga and the ET because he's managed to get the lane control. Yatoro's shoved out the wave, but Rinpoche yet hasn't been able to get a pull to get the lane control back. So the Lycan's getting a lot of farm while Y is able to just rotate around, moves to the mid lane, opens up the small camp. And like we talked about, right, the middle lane is going to be contested in terms of like who can push out the wave the most and then go farm the small camp. And Y on top of it runs over, unblocks his mid laner small camp to make sure that he can stay even with the Void Spirit.
And when you look at sort of the tools they have available both sides with their supports, do you imagine once the 6 is there for the mids, we're going to have sort of a collapse on the mid lane to try and get the early objective? Or do you think it's going to be all about reacting to the side lane fights here for the Pango and the Void Spirit?
I think it's going to be important to get the rune. Like whoever gets the first power rune of the game is going to kind of get to decide what happens. You get your bottle refilled, but you also have the ability to make a rotation as Mira.
Could be in a bit of trouble here. We'll try and hold back the bear with the Hex. He's got the stick charges, but he's getting run down here by Arme. One more hit will do it. Can he close the gap? He can't. Oh, stun misses. That's going to cost him his life. Not the start there that Mira was hoping to have here in the grand finals. A whiffed ability, and that'll give up first blood to PSG LGD.
Yeah, and Collapse isn't out of the woods quite yet. Arme's hungry.
In a bit of an awkward position now, Collapse. Stuck behind the tree line. We'll see how he gets his way out of it. He does have a TP, a little short in the mana. He'll have it back up now. Should be able to walk his way back ground, but a great bit of aggression there from PSG LGD, just opening up some space for Arme to return to farming.
Yeah, absolutely. And you notice that LGD are keeping the lane control up top, so this puts Tide under constant pressure, and you never know when they might make some sort of move and try to kill him.
Let's see what that call's going to be. We'll come in mid here. Toronto Tokyo taking a bit of harassment on the Thunder Strike, nothing to say. Stepping right up to him. There's a remnant of the ready though, Toronto Tokyo.
2 seconds.
He's got the protection here of the Resonant Pulse.
And great usage there of that armor. He uses the health damage of Resonant Pulse to bottle up to make sure that he's not within the kill range of the Swashbuckle from Pango.
Oh, some good early pressure though from PSG LGD, forcing Toronto Tokyo to be very cautious in that mid lane as early as it is, just 5 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you think about Elder Titan, you kind of think of him as a lane-dominant hero. And both No-Tail and Seb touched on it, right? You want to abuse the fact that LGD have no stuns. But because of how this bottom lane is played out, with the Naga lane constantly being shoved into the Lycan's tower, the Elder Titan hasn't really been able to abuse his laning phase presence.
Oh, look at this now. There we have it. Nice bit of micro from Faith Beyond. That'll grab himself a free courier. As the Wolves chase down poor old baby faceless Rex.
Up top, Collapse is also taking pressure now. So again, the freedom of Y, he's just allowed to rotate to mid, set up some pressure on the Void Spirit. Now he's up top, making sure he's just in their face and forcing them to react to his movement.
Yeah, he's all over the place, Y.
Yep.
Spirit, they've definitely got to try and do something in return. Yeah, they themselves bring the 2 supports up to top. Just sort of figuring out what to do about this roaming disruptor here in the early minutes of the match.
Yep, here we go. First fight for the runes. Where's it going to spawn, top or bottom?
Let's have a look. It is going to be down bottom, and it is a DD. It's going to go straight into the bottom of Toronto Tokyo, so a very nice room for him to fight with, but already up top. Spirit, they'll lose Mira.
Yeah, it's a DD Toronto Tokyo, though. Let's see how he can respond back with it, because now you have a Pangolier with low mana, and he's going to be aware of it, so he knows that he can make a move here, and the Pangolier won't really be able to respond.
Yeah, this is an excellent move for Toronto Tokyo to find it. He's going to use it straight away. Goes aggressive. He's going to miss the Dissimilate, though. A couple of hits will do it. Can he quite close the gap? No, he's not going to be able to get the second hit in. Nothing to say, steps away. I mean, that would have been such a big kill for him to find. He got the dream room for it, but he couldn't quite get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate, but, you know, that's Dota. Disruptor, though. He's going to TP into the middle lane here. I'd be scared to do this. Let's see if Toronto Tokyo has the will to chase him down.
Yeah, he's still got this DD going for a few seconds. Why? Living on the edge a little bit.
Yep.
Toronto Tokyo feels that he can get in with the Astral Step. And why knows? He's keeping his distance.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the net worth, you see Yatoro. He's just going to start accelerating his farm even more, but I'm impressed by how well the Ursa's been able to keep up. And this is largely due to the fact that they had lane control for so long up at the top lane, and they were able to just keep their heroes, so the enemy heroes, so close to the tower, so Tide could never really feel free to
Arme. He's going to try and step over for Mira, but again, Team Spirit, they've kept their two supports up here, both Mira and Maposhka, making sure that there's never the opportunity for Arme to get any kills up here right now. As you say, Arme doesn't care too much. Complete free farm, level with that of Yatoro's Naga Siren. He's having no struggles whatsoever, but Spirit just trying their best to limit anything else going into the hands of the Ursa this early.
Yeah, and you notice the Naga in the bottom lane now. She's just going to put her illusions on the lane, push out the waves, while she farms the jungle camps close by, and try to get ahead of the Ursa by doing this constantly. And LGD are going to try to match by using the Wisp Overcharge to allow the Ursa to farm. And we notice both these teams are so good at stacking, and here we go again. Runes are spawning.
And Toronto Tokyo is going to be the focus. Quick jump away from the Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, it's an Arcane Rune secured though, so if they can manage to survive these 70 seconds and nothing too bad happens, this is a huge rune for them to have.
All about these power runes early on, especially in a game, 8 minutes in, only the 2 kills so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's the tension, right? Neither team really
Yeah.
has anything to do yet, and they're both drafting for slightly later timings in the game. The Tidehunters now finally hit level 6, so if there's an opening, look for some sort of rotation. I think it's hard to go for the Ursa, so there might even be the possibility of the Tidehunter rotating out of this lane.
Sure.
And making some sort of move with Toronto Tokyo.
When you just look at the heroes that PSG LGD have at their disposal, and you feel that Spirit, they're just not going to want to try and push into that tier 1 quite yet.
I think for Spirit, your expectation was to do slightly better in the lanes, but they haven't really been able to do so.
See, it's all right. Getting gone on here by the two of them, but the Rolling Thunder not quite ready again. Not quite yet. They'll get the glimpse back, but no further damage to come onto the Naga Siren, so Yatoro will be fine.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication there, it seems. The shield crash wasn't used on the hero. The glimpse came in a little bit later.
Well, they've got their eyes on Arme. Also, they know that play was made by a couple of PSG LGD inside their own jungle, but Arme, he's out of reach of the Remnant. He's away. Space is there. Down bottom. Faith Beyond continues the push. The tier 1 to fall already here on Spirit's side of the map.
Yeah, I think this is the most shocking part of this early game because I expected the Lycan kind of get zoned out by the Naga and the Naga Illusions to defend them, but...
Let's see if they can get Arme. They've got 4 heroes working on him right
There's
now.
a Ravage.
He has the ult up. He's on the retreat up to the high ground, but they'll be able to get in front of him, close off his escape. Spirit will finally be able to claim their first kill here in the first 10 minutes, getting themselves on the board.
Yeah, and this is a huge kill because it allows for Team Spirit to now start firing back and taking over this top lane area. They need this tower to fall. And meanwhile, this is the response you see from PSG LGD. They rotate their heroes mid to try to force Spirit away from the top tower and force them to come defend their mid tower as the more valuable tower for the later Roshan.
And they're hitting these timings, PSG LGD, no doubt about it, and Spirit just having to let them do so.
Yeah, I mean, this Lycan really has becoming the big X factor. I don't think Spirit expected him to be this strong out of the laning phase. And now Am is going to comfortably move into his triangle and start farming up. I think once he hits that Diffusal Blade, look to see Spirit LGD try to make some move. But I think if LGD gets to farm up right now, they feel like they've hit they have enough map space to where they're comfortable playing around their cooldowns and just waiting for the Disruptor ultimate to come online, wait for the Lycan to finish up his items, and then just play around his forms together with the power runes that the Pangolier is securing.
I mean, in this sort of game where, both teams playing as carefully as they are, just 1 to 2, coming up to 11 minutes, do you look at the Naga Siren and feel that for Spirit, if they can keep this game in pretty calm waters and not allow the early aggression from PSG LGD to get to them too much, this Naga Siren will be able to carry out in the later stages, or do PSG LGD always have the means to deal with her?
I think to some extent you are happy, but I feel like you wanted the laning phase to go better so that LGD's timings come later into the game. So knowing that your lanes haven't quite gone the way you wanted them to, they must feel like, okay, at some point now, once LGD gets items, they're going to come running at us.
Look at this top, nothing to say. He's going to get the lead in onto Collapse. He'll drop the Static Sum as well, putting no chance of Collapse being able to return fire quite yet with a potential Ravage. Doesn't matter though, he's able to walk out to the side. They'll go for the glimpse back on him. He'll simply look for the TP out, and there's nothing to put a stop to it. Collapse, realizing his strength here with a Hood of Defiance, he's got enough tank ability to just TP out of it all. That's the Rolling Thunder and the Static Storm put to waste there by PSG LGD.
Yeah, great jukes. He just dodged out the Pangolier spells and Once the Rolling Thunder missed, he knew that he was safe. Glimpse is used, TP out. Just great presence of mind there from Collapse, knowing exactly how to play his situation out and get out safely. I love what LGD are doing, though. If you take a look at the top lane, this is one of the things I loved about how OG ran the Wisp in the position 3. They recognize that Wisp's item timings are really important for you to keep these heroes alive. Because if you think about how healing works in Dota, heroes keep growing their hero pool, like health pools, but the healing items are static amounts of heals. So 250 health on a hero that has 1,000 HP is like a lot more than it is on a hero that has 3,000 HP. So if you hit these heal item timings early into the game, that really enables you. And they've given Xingqiu the top lane to sit here and farm comfortably.
See down bottom, Wang, quite a dangerous position here. The side of the jungle had seen Spirit in Toronto, Tokyo will be quick to put a stop to it.
Naga Siren also closing in on the Manta. And by the looks of it, she's going to get that item before Ursa even completes his Diffusal Blade. So Yatoro's probably very happy in this game, feeling comfortable with how it's going right now.
And when you look at sort of what they have against him, do you feel that a lot of the map is pretty safe for this Naga Siren to farm in? As long as the Song and the TP's up, will he get away most of the time?
I mean, most likely. I think the tricky thing here, if you're LGD, is how do we deal with the illusions? How do we deal with the Naga putting illusions in our jungle that will scout out our movement and force us to play away from Roshan? Because as Dyer here, No-Tail and Seb also very touched on this a lot, the Ursa wants Aegis. This is his most key item, especially when you're going up against big cooldowns like Ravage, like Finger, Earth Splitter. You know these long cooldowns, people don't want to use them on your Aegis, so it's going to be important for him to get it. And the Naga, as long as he's able to play top and put illusions in the top Dyer jungle, it's really hard. Like, what are you going to do? Because their heroes don't have ways to effectively kill the illusions.
And you feel that Spirit, their lineup, it's geared up pretty well to deal with the fact that PSG LGD will look for the Roshan. They won't be afraid of turning up and trying to put a stop to it.
I mean, I think that's where the information game is going to be important. Can Spirit actually use the vision that they're getting to fight off LGD's timing? Because I think that is like the big question mark. Is the Ursa going to be too strong for you to kill? Or is it enough to just sleep away half the wolf fight duration and then try to fight them afterwards?
I think we're definitely going to see Yatoro start to increase the lead against Arme. Bottom lane, White. He'll drop the Static Storm, trying to save himself, but Collapse and Maposhka will run him down, take him out. Faith Beyond, he's looking to get involved in this with the backup of Nothing to Say being brought over by Xingqiu. They will get Maposhka. Can the three of them get Collapse? They're trying to commit their best onto him. They will leave the two cores behind. Xingqiu trying to let Nothing to Say and Faith Beyond finish the job, but they just can't. The damage isn't there. Toronto Tokyo is also starting to sweep over, so PSG LGD, they have to back up and just accept the trade as it is, the support for support.
Yeah, and Collapse now knowing that, you know what, they can't actually kill me without the Ursa. It's only the Ursa that can threaten my life. Just comfortably sits bottom alone, pushes out the waves, gaining as much farm as he can. And in the meanwhile, Yatoro just pushes out top lane, farming out all these top jungle camps. If you take a look at the Dire jungle, there are no camps alive.
I mean, Yatoro's farm, he is creeping further and further ahead of Arme's Ursa. You know, if there's not going to be any blood being spilt and it is just the creeps dying, this Naga Siren is just going to charge ahead in regards to farm. Yatoro is going to be huge.
Yeah, and he's going for a very interesting build. He's buying the Aghanim Scepter, and the Aghanim Scepter allows him to use his Ensnare on heroes that are either slept by his ulti or spell immune. So this will give them a way to deal with BKBs. And traditionally, the way you deal with, for example, a Tidehunter Ravage is by buying a BKB. Or in this case, you have the Pangolier with Rolling Thunder. So he's actually going to be able to lock down the Pangolier during his Rolling Thunder with his net. It's a very, very smart item decision here from the Naga.
A very long lockdown and reduced cooldown and increased cast range. He's going to have no trouble finding the target that he wishes every single team fight.
Yep. LGD also heavily reliant on the Pangolier for the lockdown, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see him use it, specifically just to make sure the Pango can't roll over his teammates.
And I guess sort of the smart approach with this item is the fact that this sort of deals with this timing where PSG LGD is going to be more ready to fight than he is, right? He can just sort of be the anti-fight. He just stops it, gets out of there, can keep playing his game. And certainly one of the crucial parts of PSG LGD's initiation, it's shut down completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Spirit, that's the name of the game, right? Can we drag this game on? And literally slowing him down during his roll, forcing his timing to be unable to be used, is just exactly what Spirit are looking for in this game. But yeah, we're starting to see items gear up on LGD's side. If you take a look at the Lycan, his timing is really going to be the big thing. But I think Spirit have won the early game in that there's no Roshan killed yet. And that means the second Roshan is going to spawn slower, and that's no Aghanim Shard for Ursa for the first half. You finished up the Helm of the Overlord. The Ursa now has his Diffusal Blade. Your Wisp is closing in on mech. You already have the Holy Locket. So there's a lot of nice tools for LGD to take a straight up team fight if Team Spirit presented to them.
See Arme Going to start with a bit of a tickle onto Toronto Tokyo. The Remnant holds back the bear. Quick jump out with the steps. Nothing to say. He's trying to close in. Does he want to keep diving underneath the tier 2? Maybe trying to get some vision for a setup from the Disruptor, but now Team Spirit, they're far enough away. Nothing to say. We're going to hit with the Smoke Bug of the Procs of the Maelstrom, nearly bringing him down, but Toronto Tokyo gets away. On as low HP as he is, Collapse also able to TP out.
He's only, I believe he just finished his Aghanim Scepter too. So he has Manta and Aghanim Scepter at 17 minutes into the game. He's crazy farm.
This is, I mean, Yatoro, it really has been eyes on him throughout the whole tournament and performance of Spirit. Top lane setups there with a net. That's the mid gone. Nothing to say. Going down, Yatoro. Instant Song TP as he knows the response will be there from PSG. LGD gets out. They cannot catch him. Yatoro will continue to farm.
Yeah, this is a really important kill, but by forcing the Naga Siren to TP out, LGD now have the option of potentially taking back control of their jungle. So this is going to be their objective for the next minute here. As you see, they're going to try to contest this Tidehunter. They know the Naga Siren is not present.
See what they can do about Collapse. Jump already in onto the Disruptor. They're looking to burst. Collapse, he's holding on to the Ravage for now. Static Storm's down. Collapse gets himself out of the side of the Ravage. Onto the 2, and then they blow up Arme. It's 3 dead at the moment on PSG LGD. Io also caught out. GQ to fall.
That's absolutely massive.
My goodness.
Team Spirit's so aware of everything. They know that this is what LGD wants to do. The Naga TP'd out. They're going to come contest us. They position their heroes perfectly. You see the kinetic field come out, but there's no static storm to follow up because you have the Lion in position to interrupt that. It's just Spirit are playing so well right now. They're just recognizing where LGD's timings are.
It just seems like already, just in the...
Really just pinged out. There you go. Just controlling the vision. They have more information to play with, and this is what's allowing Team Spirit to constantly be reading LGD and how they're moving around the map.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Bottom. Toronto Tokyo, he'll show his face, but not worried about any catch from PSG LGD. They just don't have the members around. Space is made, the tier 2 tower going down at the top lane. There won't be any defense from PSG LGD here as Spirit just continue to hit the timings, take the objectives at a pace that PSG LGD's lineup will be incredibly jealous of. This is what they wanted to be doing, and it's happening the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. They are starting to finish up some key items though. You see the Pangolier now has a Blink Dagger, so they have an easier form of initiation rather than just trying to run at them with a roll. So if Team Spirit heroes start getting cocky and playing alone, there is a way for LGD to respond and punish. Very close to this mechanism on the Wisp as well. It's just 100 gold away, and this really is the Wisp's big timing. You have both the Holy Locket and the mech to heal up the Ursa, and Ursa's closing in on BKB, so I'm smelling a fight in the waters, Owen.
Yeah, the next one, it's got to be strong from PSG LGD. Another rough fight, and this game could quickly fall out of control.
Yeah, and as strong as a Naga Siren is when she's playing this kind of map game and she's able to get the pickoffs, she isn't the strongest hero to fight up against the Ursa. So if you think about how these heroes function against each other, the Naga can't really fight up against the Ursa straight up. So if LGD is able to corner Team Spirit and they can take a fight where it's just a straight up 5v5 with the BKB and the mechanism finished, that could be an amazing timing for them. But Spirit don't want to allow that, so they're deciding to smoke up and make the move on their own first.
Let's see if they catch PSG whilst they least expect it. BKB is out for Arme.
Why?
So let's start things off. They'll go for Y. Take the Disruptor out of the action.
And Disruptor's a really key kill, because if the Disruptor isn't alive in the fight, they can't really go for Collapse. But look at Collapse's itemization. This is so smart. He's gone for the Yules to get it with a hood and a Blink Dagger. And why is this interesting? Because if you're inside of a Static Storm, and you Yule yourself, and you have the hood up, and there's no physical damage to hit you, you can actually just blink straight out of it. So just really, really smart item decisions coming out of Collapse here.
Well, we'll definitely have to look out for that play. Would be a rather impressive outpost, taken back into the hands of Spirit. And keeping full control around this area, this Roshan, as you say, which is just sort of it's a long distant dream, it seems, for PSG LGD. Their effort to try and take it out here.
Yeah, for the first time in this game, they've been allowed to take back the Dire jungle and try to apply some pressure to Roche. So I expect Team Spirit also recognize that, you know what, we've given up the Dire jungle. What would LGD do with that? Well, they would go to Roshan. So
let's see Spirit check this out. Arme's going to slow it down a little bit. The Spirit's coming in. They know that they know. Stop in. Once the IO, they're going to lead it. There's the jump straight away. They're looking to burst through the IO. And the Aegis to fall into the hands of Arme. Arme's able to get the Roche kill, get the Aegis. They get the Static Storm down. The Rolling Thunder has run in control. Toronto Tokyo. But he's out with an Astral Step. Toronto Tokyo actually makes it out of there. Dissimulate as well. PSG LGD may have got the Roche. They may have got the Aegis. Toronto Tokyo will still go down as Fate Beyond was able to wrap around and find him.
Yeah, really nice play there from LGD. What an unfortunate event there for Xinkyu. He gets pulled into the Roche pit. You really want to stay outside with a tether, but stay tethered to Ame, but he takes one step too close, and then the Wisp comes inside the Roche pit, which gives Spirit the perfect opportunity there to go in, but I don't think they were quite expecting the BKB, so all in all, I think they're happy with this. You know, they gave up the Aegis, but it took them 24 minutes to get there. So Roshan number 2, which really is Ursa's key timing in this game, to get that shard so that he can play most of the fights enraged, is going to come much, much later than they expected.
But definitely the beginnings of PSG LGD getting this game back under their control.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they need to abuse the fact that they have the Aegis to try to gain some map control here. You want to try to get the lanes pushed out, force Team Spirit to play reactive to you, and then once you are able to corner them in, you're going to find that team fight that you so much want. So the hard part here for them is how do we deal with the Naga illusions, and how do we stop them from just using illusions to push the lanes back and make us play the map game.
I mean, yeah, which hero are you sort of putting in charge of dealing with them?
I mean, they picked the Pangolier as an answer, right? And if you look at his itemization, he's going for the Maelstrom. He's trying to have some more damage and have some more presence to kill the illusions. And luckily for him, Yatoro hasn't really bought any items that tank the illusions up. He's more so building his hero up so that he's able to fight into the Ursa. He's going for that Bloodthorn. It looks like he's going to follow it up with a Heart, so he's also gone for some sort of hybrid build where he can actually get solo kills if he catches people out alone.
And for Spirit right now, despite the Aegis falling into the hands of Ame, are you still very willing to fight? How much do you need to respect this Aegis on the bear?
I think, oh, teamfight bottom. Xinkyu's in trouble.
Xinkyu will manage to make his way around the Remnant. Quick tether back over to the safety of Ame.
Yeah, I mean, for Spirit, I think you want to fight, but it needs to be the right fight. You ideally want Yatoro to try to force some hero around the map, and then once you know that the PSG LGD's heroes aren't in position to connect, then you can go for some sort of smoke. Then you can make that move. But the difficulty for them is you can't necessarily go on the Ursa. You don't have the tools to bring him down at the start of a team fight.
Got the eyes on the two of them bottom. PSG LGD, Ame and Xinkyu. On their own down here for now. There is a relocate available, and of course with the Aegis, Ame a very hard target to jump. Pressure continues from Yatoro and his illusions in the mid lane. Keeping these waves shoved right. Yatoro very ready to enter the fights now with his aggressive item of the Bloodthorn complete. They're able to get that locked down with the stuns, with the Lion and the Tide. That amp up of the damage will allow them to just destroy whichever hero they target.
Yep, and something that I noticed Team Spirit do a lot when they feel like they're on the back foot is take over the enemy triangle and try to set up control here. And this is something that I'm sure LGD are aware of too, but Lycan's in trouble.
Yep. Got the setup here. You see the damage here with the Bloodthorn really amping up. It's not quite enough though. Faith Beyond makes it away, has the plate mill and that Hyperstone done already onto the way to the AC. Additional bit of armor certainly helping out.
Yeah, and this is an opening now for Spirit. The Lycan form is down. One of the big tools in this team fight is gone. So in the other series when we saw LGD play the tiny Lycan, the Lycan's form himself doesn't really matter. It was all about that wolf bite. But in this game, because he decided to itemize his own hero, the 60 seconds of downtime here is quite big. And you see LGD pulling back their pieces, not willing to play aggressive on the top lane anymore, recognizing that they don't have all the tools necessary to win a team fight.
Yeah, Team Spirit remaining in this whole area of the triangle. Yatoro slowly sieging onto the tier 1 tower, seeing what sort of reaction they can force out of PSG LGD. 20 seconds until that Aegis has gone off Ame. Unlikely to find a fight with that still in his hands, so the game once again falling to a bit of a risky territory for PSG LGD, at least until they can hold off for that second round of Roshan.
Yeah, and Illusion's just slowly chipping away at this tower. They don't really deal a lot of damage, but it's something that, you know, LGD might respond to. So they're keeping heroes close by that in case LGD just feel like, oh, it's just an illusion hitting our tower, they're ready to pounce. And you see, Nothing to Say reads that too. He understands based on the fact that there's nothing happening on any of the other lanes. Both our middle lane is pushing out, top lane's pushing out. Lycan's getting a lot of farm from all these waves right now. He recognizes all the Team Spirit heroes are bottom here.
Yeah, he has to be so careful showing his face to clear the wave.
Yeah, both teams just reading the map really, really well. And I think Spirit, this play that they've done has been so effective throughout all the tournament. But you know LGD's done their homework.
Gonna spot Collapse around, glimpse back with Blinks there. Collapse breaks the combo, the setup. Instantly gonna go for the TP out. If they got anything to put a stop to it, they do, straight away. They're able to get the setup onto Collapse, he'll look to run. But the damage is done. PSG LGD, they catch and kill off the Tide.
Yeah, and this is a result, right, of Team Spirit has been in the lower bracket, so they've been playing so many games. LGD has that information based on previous games of where does Team Spirit go when they feel like they're behind? What do? What is their approach? And I think LGD is one of the best teams at the tournament at just abusing this information that they're gaining about the teams. They understand what is Team Spirit specifically going to do? How do they approach the situation? And they find that smoke because of that. They're playing most of this game with very, very limited vision. I really want to point that out. Like they barely have vision of what's going on the map.
Well, even without their tide, Spirit maintaining their aggressive posture over PSG LGD's half of the map and already looking for action once again around the bottom tier 2. See if they find the setup. They've got the Hex. They're going to look to jump in. Static Storm's going to be put down from Y. Stops the backup coming in. Still, though, is it the burst enough? It is. They take down Arme. That burn for the Bloodthorn, it's enough to send the Bear back to base.
That's an absolutely massive kill. And I think Xingqiu felt like he could keep him alive. There was no relocate out. So next team fight, here's the tricky part. Do you relocate Arme out as soon as he gets hexed? Because Spirit has now proven to you that we have the abilities to burst your heroes. That's why he's also in trouble.
It should be another one. It's definitely another one, Yatoro. Target to target and over towards the mid. The BKB having to be popped by nothing to say. See if Yatoro's got the setup. He has. There's the initial route. See if they've got any further follow-up here. The relocate, they'll take him out. They've got to keep nothing to say safe. Yeah. Get him away from Team Spirit. As Team Spirit, they're pushing down the mid onto another tier 2 tower.
Nice play by Faith Beyond. Tanks that Aether Remnant with one of his wolves. But Team Spirit, they're doing this so smart, right? We heard the draft panel touch on it. Fighting 5 versus 5 is not really where they're strong. They want to delay this game, keep finding these pickups, try to find these opportunities where they can get a jump, burst someone really quickly, and use the fact that we have Ravage to reset, we have Naga Sleep to reset, which is forcing LGD to be very careful about how they use their cooldowns. And this is leading to them they're just playing this game very well. And these small decisions that they're making, where you notice they're not really charging into the enemy. They're not giving LGD the kind of fights that they're used to getting.
I mean, and with the heart done on Yatoro, you know, 26 armor, 3,500 HP, how hard is it for PSG LGD to really ever get on top of him now and take him out with the focus of Arme's Ursa?
I think the biggest thing is that the illusions are tankier. If you take a look at how Yatoro is playing the fights, he's staying very far back with his primary hero, using the Bloodthorn and using the Ensnare, and having the illusions deal the damage. And if LGD really don't have heroes that want to hit illusions, Ursa wants to sit on top of a hero, like just keep hitting him, keep hitting him, keep hitting him. You don't want to hit these illusions where you get like 5 to 6 hits in, and then you got to switch over to the next one. That's a way of making the Overpower a fairly useless ability.
Of course, that timer that they'll be having in their mind, the Roshan. Potential respawn in just over a minute.
And that minute feels really long, Owen. Let me tell you, right now, if you're PSG LGD, that minute is coming very, very slowly. We see Tidehunter starting to eye up a Shiva's guard. That's going to make it even harder for the Ursa to stick on top of him and deal damage. They also just bought a Force Staff on the Elder Titan. I think for Team Spirit, they're recognizing that, you know what? LGD's not going to be able to kill us if we're just able to kite out their BKBs. And that's why you notice, like, Nothing to Say also has bought a BKB. I think the idea of this is he wants to try to use it to break out of, to have a longer period of time in the teamfights where he's playing under Magic Community, because there's just so much lockdown coming out from Team Spirit. Go Scepter on Mira. Toronto Toki has Yules and Kaya Sanj also eyeing up on Shiva's guard, but I would be surprised if he doesn't change it up. And on the courier, he has a full BKB too. So I'm really liking Spirit for this game one. They're in a very dominant position here. They're scaling up very nicely.
With the timer, they know it's going to be around the point where PSG LGD are going to be checking out that Roche pit, looking for the respawn. Spirit, they're heading over to try and do something about the presence. They're going to jump straight in on the Xingqiu, burst with the finger. As the IO goes down, no buyback. Xingqiu cannot get back into this fight. Nothing to Say has to roll out with the Thunder.
So this is huge, right? Both Lycanform was committed, as well as the Pangolier roll. So if the Roshan spawns, which it does, this is free Roshan for Team Spirit. And remember how much we talked about how badly you want this for LGD. It doesn't even matter if the Sagas comes to use for Yatoro. They just want to make sure that PSG LGD doesn't get it. And this is the only shard, Aghanim shard, that has dropped from Roshan throughout the entire game. So that's 1,400 gold that now Am is going to have to spend for himself.
I mean, it just goes to show how solid of a position that Spirit are in, where just a couple of ults expired by PSG LGD and a dead IO, and suddenly the rest of the lineup, they cannot do anything about Spirit taking the Roche. Continuing their lead here, 7k up. I mean, Yatoro, he himself, 7k difference between him and Arme's farm. Well on the way to having a butterfly complete for the next bit of action as well.
Yeah, and with this butterfly, he actually has the option of now utilizing his own hero too, once the situation looks good for him, because the Ursa can't just burst him. The bash is going to miss, there's a proc chance on the bash, there's a proc chance on the miss, so it's going to be hard for the Ursa to just lock him down. And just very intelligently itemized by the Naga here. For the early part of the game, when he knew it was going to be a map control game, he bought the Orchid, he bought the Ags, played for the map, looked for those pickoffs, and those key pickoffs have really led to the situation that they're in the game now. Jambot picked up by Y. You can feel, they feel the pressure of the vision. They're not getting the vision that they're used to. They don't have the information that they're used to playing with in this game. Miposhka is just shutting them down. Oh. And Rage forced out.
They're just going to have to stay well away from Spirit. 4 very, very scary minutes of Aegis on Toronto, Tokyo. PSG, LGD, they do not want to fight into this. But every minute that passes where they cannot look to brawl is going to be another just minute of pain here with the increasing momentum and mass of the cause of Team Spirit.
Yeah. And surely right now, PSG LGD are discussing how do we take a team fight? What is it that we need to do? How do we need to use our abilities in order to catch Team Spirit off guard? And for Team Spirit, I think a lot of the communication is like, we need to make sure that we do not let LGD come out on the map. We don't want them to get out and farm. As long as we can keep them locked into their base, we can get all the items that we want, and then we get the fight that we want. And everything's going to happen on our terms. So you see, they rotate over to the top side here, expecting LGD to run out on the top side of the map. And here we go.
It's time to look for that fight, PSG LGD. Execution has to be immaculate.
Yeah, they're scouting with the Wolves. They're getting the info they want.
They're looking to try and start to collapse, but Collapse is able to blink away from the lead-in. They'll turn their attention over towards Yatoro, but with the ensnare, looks to hold him back. Nothing to say, is able to get out of it. As they'll get the static storm set up onto the Naga Siren, but the illusions, they're just forcing back Y. Swashbuckle's going to miss. I mean, Yatoro, he's barely been scratched. He's back up to full HP. PSG LGD, they're able to run back to base, but Collapse, he's in with the Ravage onto the two of them. Silence down onto Arme, pop the BKB, turn towards Toronto, Tokyo, but they cannot stay for this fight. They've got to get back to the high ground, back to the base, as PSG LGD have to charge back to the safety of their high ground as quickly as they head out. Collapse. Gonna look for the setup here outside of the base. Another BKB force. Faith Beyond trying to head back to the safety of his teammates. The ensnare locks him down. The illusion's starting to go to work. Remnant left in the position. They drag it back with a split into the finger. My goodness, the Lycan gets absolutely destroyed. And Toronto Tokyo's not done. Diving up to the tier 4s, committing with a dissimilate. He's trying to go for GQ. Will die underneath the towers, but he's got the Aegis. He's ready for round 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the micro decision making from Team Spirit is so beautiful to watch. I think every time a hero pops BKB, within half a second, there's a Naga net flying at it. And in the fight, you saw Ahmed pop BKB to try to man up and fight. And then the net comes, immediately he has to pop his ultimate. He can't use the Enrage the way he wants to. He's forced to use it defensively all the time just to break the net, just to be able to stick on top of the targets.
Just trying to clear out these illusions now. It seems all but impossible. The Reacts dying, the melee Reacts will fall. They'll get the jump on Yatoro, but they've already lost Y at the start of the action. BKB from Arme, he's trying to stay on target, but Yatoro is able to sing their way back to safety. And now he's ready to go back in. The song ends, Toronto, Tokyo, BKB up, jump over with the Remnant, grabs back the Ursa. Arme disappears in a matter of seconds. GQ to fall as well. GG is called. And my goodness, what a buttery smooth start to the grand finals here for Team Spirit.
Oh,
they couldn't have played this any better, Aiden. This is how you dream of entering a grand finals at the International.
Yes, absolutely. Everything they're doing, they're firing on all cylinders. Their macro understanding of the game, how LGD might try to sneak out of base, they're in position to cover it. And then once that fight happens, they're immediately ready to respond in the right way.
I mean, that was incredible. Yatoro turning up, doing it again, another hero, and it looks like it's a performance that's on top of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Yatoro, I mean, we all talked about Collapse so much throughout this tournament, but we gotta give Yatoro the praise he deserves. His hero pool is so wide, it's just allowing Spirit to constantly have these conditions, win conditions, over their opponents.
And it really is, yeah, just not the fact that he himself is so individually skilled on these numerous carries. It's just that the team, they seem to have a strat to play around every single one that he's willing to pull out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the team spirit are so strong. They look like a fierce opponent, and I think a lot of people might have expected LGD to be the stronger team, but, you know, they just proven you wrong. These guys can beat LGD for sure.
They absolutely can. What a way to start this grand finals. Team Spirit just charging in with the same level of strength that they have shown us throughout their entire run so far up until this point. It's continuing here where it counts the most. Game 1 will go to Team Spirit.
A very strong performance from Team Spirit here in that first game, indeed. And I am looking forward to hearing from our 5-head draft panel, first of all. Gentlemen, how did this game play out compared to what you thought was going to happen?
I mean, I think it was an incredible statement from Spirit. It started with the draft. It started with the mentality in which they played this game. You know, they come here to the grand finals, and of course, everybody expects LGD to be the Titan. You know, can they move them? Not only they can, they beat them, they play fearless, they come up with a great strategy. They beat probably LGD's best strategy. Their first pick, the IO Lycan, and they just break it. I think, you know, as a Dota fan, this is what I was really hoping for, is like, can they compete? And yes, they can. LGD is getting tested today, and that's gonna be absolutely amazing to witness.
Team Spirit seems to be playing very free, very careless, very aggressive. This Bloodthorn kill on the Ursa bottom was, like you said, a huge statement. I want to say the same thing. This was like a team who saw an opening. They had an item build. They had a timing that not many teams would have pushed, played on, and pulled this off with. This Ursa dying in front of tier 2 also breaks the game at this point. And it's like, it's a very intense game. LGD, they're not broken by any means. They go for this Roshan play. They actually get it. And they're staying alive in a game where I think it's actually looking really hard. And it's really hard for them to scale. It's really hard for them to fight. I think the draft still favored Spirit. I think LGD were not so comfortable with how it ended up looking like. They're much more comfortable if they have a condition where it's like, in 20 minutes we're going to be stronger, in 30 minutes we're going to be stronger, much stronger than you, and we keep scaling. But in this game, with the ET, with the Naga Sleep, with the Ravage, you saw it. Like, fights can end like this for LGD.
Yeah, and I think this was almost a bit of a wake-up call for Xiaowei and LGD, because I think they came into that supremely confident. I think we were even saying, like, maybe they might have even prepared for Team Secret. They weren't expecting Team Spirit to, like, just roll through everyone. And I think LGD, they can make a comeback, but at Spirit, they looked really good in that game. Just everything they wanted to do during that game looked really strong.
Yeah, thank you very much, gentlemen, for that insight. Love to hear more, of course, from you during the draft of game number 2, and that is where we, of course, will be heading next, because it's a best of 5. It's all about learning and adapting. And you heard Curtis say that maybe PSG LGD did not know, like, that they were going to face Team Spirit. I will tell you that not a single person on the planet has had a correct bracket prediction. A little bit of extra information there. So there are 4 people on the planet that have had 20 out of 21 predictions correct. So that's very nice. And actually, this morning, there was only one person on the planet that still had a correct prediction, but they thought it was Secret that was going to move on. So, hey, it's all up in the air from here, and Team Spirit take game 1. Lizard, it's been an amazing opening game.
It's been incredible, especially when you go back and listen to what Silent said after the draft. He's like, yeah, we're just gonna play the game. We didn't prepare too much for them. We had Secret on our mind. It definitely didn't look that way. The way they set up the team fights, the way they moved across the map. Draft aside, the way they anticipated PSG LGD and what they will do and prepared for it and counter-attacked them. It was incredible.
Yeah, PSG LGD end the game with 5 kills. That is like, and with an Ursa draft, like that's just kind of unheard of, and exactly how that draft is not meant to play out. If you're playing an Ursa and 25 minutes in you have 5 kills, there's a big problem.
Yeah, and I definitely want to piggyback on something that No-Tail was talking about. I think every single game that I got to either cast or every single game that I reviewed, looking over PSG LGD, even for months now, they always drafted themselves a win condition for later stages. This is one of the few games where I think as soon as that Naga's picked, they're like, we actually need to find something to counter this, to play fast with. I think that's why they went for this Pango. And I think it was just a genius idea, a genius draft plan from Spirit throughout the whole thing.
A genius draft plan indeed. It looked so strong from them. Was there any chance for PSG LGD to defend high ground after it went so awry in the early stages, God?
I felt like once things started going wrong, there wasn't a comeback. They needed to get ahead early and then snowball from there, going from Roshan kills to hero kills, and just really, get this massive lead that just kept on growing. So once this Naga, illusion started coming online and pushing out waves, the game was kind of already slipped away by that point.
And even though PSG LGD, they had a beautiful plan in this Pangolier last pick that can perhaps take over the game and deal with the Naga later on. They answered it. They answered it with Yaganims on the Naga and just completely killed their only chance. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, PSG LGD has been the final boss, as you say it, for this grand finals. And what is that? What is that? Tsunami?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's final boss. I've been crunching the numbers, and I think I finally understand. This whole time I was preparing as if Secret were going to be the representatives of not just Western Europe, but Europe in whole. And I was so ready to show you the differences between Secret's playstyle and LGD's playstyle. Things went a little bit differently. I was trying to say that, oh man, LGD, they are the magnum opus of China. They have combined all the best parts of their compatriots, Vici Gaming, IG, Spirit. They're all grinders, actually. Secret, they only played like 27 ticketed games. Meanwhile, you've got I-Leagues, you've got Pinnacle Cups. Both these regions are known to grind out games publicly. So that's one thing that was very similar to them. Next up, we've been talking, time and time again about how LGD is the fastest average game length, and they are. But Spirit is hot on their tail, not that much further behind. This is no fluke, my friends. After that, I was like, okay, well, surely the ward efficiency, and there is a little bit of a discrepancy. This was the average centuries used per D ward. LGD is still the kings of this whole thing, but you heard Insania at the beginning of this cast. You saw how the Naga illusion usage was used. Spirit understand vision extremely well, and they also understand drafts extremely well. 5 more unique heroes picked throughout this entire tournament. Maybe LGD have been holding on to things, and also it's a big credit to Yatoro, obviously, on the side of Spirit, because Ame, he's no slouch in his own self. He's been putting up some solid numbers. All you people who went in on Team Secret for your fantasy, I feel bad for you, because Ame, even in a losing series, will still be doing work. Though, granted, that's only after he matured a little bit. I think previous TIs for Ame, he's had some issues picking the right items, knowing when to use the right items, knowing when to buy the right items, but he has matured ever since. And this should really come as no surprise that Team Spirit has won Game 1, because this is a rematch from the OGA Dota Pit Invitational just from a month ago. And you know who won that Game 1? It was Spirit also. Yeah. After that, they lost 3 games.
Wow, a lot of confidence for Team Spirit coming out from Tsunami there. And yes, that was indeed how those grand finals went. However, since then, I think it is very safe to say that Team Spirit, over the entire 2021 year, Fog, the most improved team in Dota 2 on the planet.
Yeah, and just still playing like it's not TI, I guess you could say. Like, not feeling the pressure so much is what I mean. Because I watched them, I got to cast them and watch them throughout both of the seasons, and I was big fans of them. Tokyo was playing with super confidence. Some games, maybe a little bit too much confidence, but being able to see players go up onto even grand finals doing this versus a team like LGD, it's amazing. And you could see there, they were still taking risks in a lot of this game. They were committing a lot of spells, like even over-committing at times, and it ended up working out anyway. So.
Yeah, I think we've seen that multiple times when Team Spirit seemed a little down in a game. They don't really seem to care. I don't know if that's the right word to say it, but they'll try to make the plays anyway, even if they're not ahead in the game, even if they're not 20k gold ahead. If they're 20k gold down, they'll still try. That's how they were able to get to this point, Lizard.
And that's the right winning mentality. When you're 20k gold behind and you go safe and you buy yourself that BKB instead of that one extra item that could perhaps win you the team fight, you're already signing the defeat. So I really like the mentality and the approach to the game that Team Spirit is bringing to this TI.
They give off this aura where it's like, we might eventually lose or get knocked out of TI, but that's okay. And turns out just playing with that kind of carefree, we're just going to go out and, play to win and, anything can happen kind of attitude has really just worked wonders for them.
I really cannot wait already for True Sight, I was seeing like multiple conversations going on. You saw Zawait giving a little bit of a speech. We saw just Yatoro just, having some comments back and forth. Ooh, I can't wait. I'm getting way too far ahead of myself with all those conversations. But I would like to hear from you guys what you think needs to be changed in game number 2, because we do talk about learning and adapting Fogged, and in between best of 5, that's when it matters. These 15 minutes that these players have had, key moments.
Yeah, I think I know IO is an incredibly strong hero at the moment, but I actually think IO might be one of those that you maybe step away from, because TI, I think we've said it ad nauseum, it starts to come down to these big team fights. It comes down to these big little plays that you can do. Sure, IO can do those little plays, but ease of execution is a thing too. So I think for PSG LGD, I want to see them go back to their guns, put Jinkyu on his normal heroes where he's going to be able to scale, have a bigger impact than just, I'm a tether, I'm an overcharge, a heal. I want them to diversify and let him also become that kind of carry mode too, because, yeah, he's shown how much he can do as...
And when you talk about ease execution, they had, no stuns that game. Disruptor,
Yes.
Glimpse, they would, try catch this tide, and then he'd just TP out in front of 4 heroes multiple times. So I think a lot of it is going to come back to the draft, simplify things, pick a few more stuns, and just make your game plan much easier to execute.
I completely agree. Just a little bit more team fight for PSG LGD, and what they really have to get is that late game potential. In the last game, they truly didn't have it. And when you run a timer, that 20-25 minute mark in which you need to break the enemy and you're under pressure, under emotions, you're bound to make mistakes. So just play it safe, pick a hero that scales well into the late game.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look back to the first 10 minutes of the previous game we just watched, I mean, both teams were taking it very safe. It was actually a fairly slow start to the game, which, based on draft, we were not really expecting Gods, because that Naga Siren just had all the freedom in the world.
Yeah, I don't think PSG LGD had a draft that was going to scale late game if they didn't get ahead and play aggressive. Usually it's their style to just go around, run at their opponents, look for these kills. And, when you're playing this Ursa as your carry with a mid Pengalier, you don't have that ability to scale, so they had to be a lot more aggressive there.
They really did. And we know that PSG LGD can recover in a series, so I'm very curious to see what they bring to the table in this game 2. Of course, also, this will be something that Silent and Miposhka will have discussed at length, because they know PSG LGD will come up with a new plan as well. So it's, it's one-upping each other constantly in this best of 5. I want to just also quickly remind everyone that it is so phenomenal that we have 9 out of the 10 players on the stage being they're only the first or the second international that they're at. We are seeing, I kind of feel like the new generation of Dota players here on stage, Fog.
Oh God, don't say this.
What? No, it's time. No,
Okay.
this is true.
But then the older people are going to start retiring, and then we got
No, but
7
they will
no-tail
all
coming
turn-
for our jobs. So
Okay,
no.
well, they are already here,
Yeah,
and you're
it's too
still
late
on
for
the
that.
Too
panel.
late,
Too
man.
late for
It's too
that.
late.
Savor the moment.
No, it is truly beautiful. I love when you see these young guns and just having this confidence. I think that's the biggest thing that everybody's just said is confidence.
Love
Spirit's
it.
just been oozing it.
Yeah,
The future
I
of
love
Dota
it.
is bright. When you have all these young players coming out of multiple different regions, it really means, the next TIs in years to come are going to have some amazing new talent.
Yeah, are you a little bit jealous, Lizard?
I'm very jealous. I'm super emotional. Watching Team Spirit in particular, because I was in that Eastern Europe Tier 2, Tier 3 teams. This was a dream that for some is happening at the moment. It's becoming reality.
All
I'm
you
also
need to
very
do,
happy.
apparently, is on day 2 or day 3 of the event, you're like, Dota gods, they need to be worshipped. You shave off your head, you donate it, and here you are, grand finals.
There you go.
That's your Toro
it.
story right there. In case you're wondering why you look so different from all the pictures that you're seeing, that's the reason. He literally said in an interview, I felt like I needed to sacrifice something to the Dota gods. My hair.
I like how they're doing all these little things too, where you're saying I even saw when they won the last game too. Mira's waving at somebody in the crowd, right? He's just like, hey, yeah, we won, guys, cheer for us. It's like, wait a minute.
I am very sad that this is not an actual crowd, because of course we have the LGD crowds coming in from our sound sweetener, but now Team Spirit doesn't have those crowds, because I know, you've probably seen in a lot of different streams that, for example, the Eastern European audience right now, all-time high. They are incredible. They are, of course, big fans of the guy on your screen right now and his whole squad, and they are rooting for them. And if we could hear them in an arena, we would not have been able to hear anything else, Gods.
Every crowd loves an underdog too. Like, you know, wherever you are in the world, this Team Spirit team would have won the hearts of the fans. Wherever you go in the world, there's always a huge amount of supporters for PSG LGD. You know, obviously a crowd is missed, and, you know, we hope to see it again in future years, but, you know, these two teams still producing amazing Dota with or without a crowd.
Yeah, so what do we want to see in this game too? Like, are there any heroes that we feel like Yatoro still has to play?
I want to see a collapse Mars. You talked about
okay.
the IO maybe going through. Give us IO collapse Mars.
All right. Well, we are going to find out if we will get a collapse Mars or what else will he play. We're finding out right now.
Team Spirit versus PSG LGD. Grand Finals, Game 2.
Hello again, welcome to the draft panel, the second game of the TI-10 Grand Finals, again with Seb and Noto. And I mean, Team Spirit, they took game 1. But I actually had a question I wanted to ask you guys. So in the first game, LGD had choice. They took first pick, and Spirit responded with Radiant. In this game, Spirit had choice, but they actually took second pick, and LGD responded with Radiant. Why do you think that is?
I mean, there's definitely a big Radiant advantage, so no surprise that whoever gets to choose side will choose Radiant. And it does seem that now we have two teams that are gonna keep clashing at each other's, and they're questioning the execution versus the theory, because apparently Team Spirit wants second pick and LGD wants first pick. And I think also the way the draft starts is another case of that. This is the exact same scenario of game 1. So this is LGD stating that, hey, there's probably something we could have done better, maybe draft-wise, but our approach to these games is the right one, and we're sticking with it.
Yeah. I always love to see it when you have teams that stick with their guns, and you could say that Team Spirit were maybe really happy with how the choices went down, where they might prefer second pick, or they feel like they're able to punish them really hard, or whatever it is. I think LGD always should be left with okay, now we at least know, like, this is what they want, and blah, 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 and this is a best of 5, so this is also them gonna be getting to know each other better. This outcome of this game is gonna be super important for how the rest will shape out. LGD, they might feel something if they're winning, or if they're losing, there's always a chance that they keep going back to the same thing, but then, yeah, like this game, we're gonna probably see, I'm predicting, Team Spirit going for something new again for Yatoro. I think they're feeling themselves a lot and are drafting a lot also on feeling. You also heard Heen talk about that. They're drafting on feeling. And you also see now LGD decided to switch it up or kind of go away from what happened last game with like lack of AoE, lack of team fight, and they instantly lock in Alesh with the IO to give the IO that.
I want to say that, so Team Spirit, right, they really shook LGD. Like, they proved that they can beat them at their own game, and I feel like no team so far in the tournament has done that, and I was kind of sad as a Dota enthusiast. Is like, come on, like, if you're going to lift the Aegis, somebody has to, you know, make you kind of work for it. And Team Spirit did that, and it's awesome. And now we're going to see, you know, can LGD show us, you know, the level 2, the level 3, and then it's going to bring even better Dota. What I really love about Team Spirit did, they had the same opener open to them. They could have ET tied again.
Yep.
And, you know, they respect LGD. They respect them so much that they expect them to be ready to punish them for the same draft. So they know, like, you know what? We're not giving you what you think we're going to do. You're going to have to think on the spot. We don't want you to come to this draft with, you know, XIO8, 1 hour of preparation on how to do even better. You have to think on the spot. Bane Magnus. It's beautiful approach. It's mind games between the drafters, and props to Miposhka and Silent for pulling this one out.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. This is like a big mental game. It's always been, it always will be, but it starts here. It starts with the draft, and again, so many statements are being made between the draft, between the two teams. So I'm like, this is what we believe in, this is what we're gonna do to you now, and we're trying to throw you off guard, and yeah, a lot being said.
I do want to say that there's something very interesting in my opinion, is like last game, LGD, when they play this West, they're very much looking at connecting early with nothing to say. Mm-hmm. And connecting to a Pangolier that doesn't have the best matchup, it's hard, you know, Pango doesn't really have a way to take over the game. Leshrac, Wisp, that is scary. Leshrac, most of the time wins his lane. He can power farm, he can, you know, like, you start accelerating a Leshrac as a Wisp, he might take over the game. And I feel like with the Pangolier, it's not the same.
There's a lot more abuse to be had with the Leshrac. You can get the mana, you can get the soaring, you can get like the runes, you can get certain mana abuse that also allows this hero to have a way different game. His timings are something else. Like this going back to base, this not being able to dive, IO can fix all of it for you.
He will take the towers, he will kill anything, any camp. He'll take the entire game if he has to. And that's something very beautiful. Another thing to mention, in my opinion, is we have not seen Collapse yet out of his, trifecta, Magnus, Tide, Mars, where he's incredible on these heroes. And he's getting them every game. So he got the mag now again, which means, in my opinion, Team Spirit is going to be in their comfort zone. They have so many cool strategies, so many cool lanes. They understand how to fight around these heroes better than any team in the tournament.
And I think you're spot on with the read that you guys have about Leshrac, because they're just banning to protect their mid Leshrac, right? We see the Lina coming out, the Invoker, and even now an Antimate. I mean, I don't know if it protects a Snowball. But when you have this hero, I think you pretty much want to play for nothing to save time. I think that's what has found LGD a lot of success in this tournament. I got they're not diverting so much from their West. They think this is the strongest hero for them, but they're adding on to that strategy.
There's something I think very important to mention is that, the second phase, how it's going to go down. And Team Spirit will have to pick the hero that's going to be kind of the pivotal hero. They don't want to show, and then they're going to start counter-picking. And it is interesting for LGD to show the Leshrac that early, because no matter what, first pick cannot protect the mid matchup. Team Spirit can just delay the mid pick for as long as they want to. In this case, LGD is like, you know what? We're committing to this with Leshrac. We don't think it's countered. Or maybe they think it's only countered by Lina and Invoker that can match the pace of what Wisp Leshrac can apply to a game. And now it's like they're happy. No matter what Team Spirit is holding for the 18 or the 24 pick, for the mid lane, it does not matter.
Does that mean you think that Team Spirit should pick their mid out of the phase just so that they don't reveal anything more about the draft? Or
it makes a lot of sense. There's always arguments for both. If you want to, depends on how you enjoy playing Dota sometimes, depends on what types of players you have on your team. If you see the mid matchup, theoretically, of course, there's many arguments for revealing your mid matchup or trying to address this and have a stronger win condition if that's what you're going for on your carry. There's also another way where it's you love your mid laner so much that you're going to pick your carry hero and make sure that this Leshrac is mid and make sure there's no bamboozling happening and he gets the last pick win condition or timing condition or whatever it might be. It all depends. If you pick anti-mages out, but if you pick some carry hero here and you say nothing can beat it in the game, it makes a lot of sense too, because you want your mid guy to stabilize the game. And he needs to have a really good start. The better the start, the better, because you're going to need him very early.
Could this be Shaker Morph coming? Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
So that's one of the... So you have these combos, right, that are very hard to pick. And there's only two scenarios in which you can actually pick them. And probably that's one of the strengths of first pick, is first pick has the double pick, right, the Shaker Morph.
Yes. Yeah, there's that. And also, you feel like quite often with this phase, you might want to commit just because it's going to be hard to counter and there's this and that. But don't you think this Willow was a protect pick against this?
But potentially, maybe it was even a setup for the Morph. I think, the way I look at it is they're trying to take the win condition away from the Mag +1, and I think Shaker Morph has a way to play fights and scale into the Mag +1, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if they thought about it, but Willow Bramble is one of the best abilities against the Shaker Morph. The Aghanims, you can't just roll through the fight. If there's Brambles on the ground, you instantly get pulled down. I don't know if that's what they were thinking, but I also think, like Seb said, they're maybe threatening this Morphling to come up. And if they have an answer now they trap them. Or if they feel like they have an amazing answer to this.
There's many things about why this Shaker Morph here makes a lot of sense. It's not stoppable, drafting-wise. They're picking both heroes, in the same phase. You cannot stop it. Mechanically, drafting-wise, you can't stop it. The AA cannot be picked anymore because they have shown the Bane and they have shown the Willow, meaning, the big counters to the Shaker Morph are kind of hard to pick for Team Spirit. It's a win condition. It's a very strong, combo that scales into anything. Very powerful second phase from LGD, and that's what I think why they are the best first pick team in the tournament, because they understand the weaknesses of first pick, but most importantly, they abuse the strength of the drafting order of first pick. They're like, you cannot stop me from getting what I want, and what I want, I think it beats anything.
Yep.
So from your guys' perspective, of the two drafts, if you were in their shoes, which draft would you actually prefer to have right now?
It's a hard pick. I kind of want to lean towards LGD, but don't know how you feel about it.
I would say LGD in a way, but at the same time, I can also see where Team Spirit is going with this. A lot of people would say that Lash, Shaker, Morph are all heroes that are good against Willow, but I see amazing Bramble value here versus the Lash, the IO. You can break the tether, you can do a lot of stuff in team fights with the Shaker and the Morph. And it's a quick lineup. The Luna is able to hit these timings where Roshan is threatened, where towers are threatened very early. And Shaker Morph, they need a lot of time. They usually don't come online until 20-something.
So I'll make the case against. So Johan is vouching for Team Spirit. I'm going to try to vouch for LGD for what they have going for them. I think they're one of the best teams in the world, understanding how to make a Leshrac scale also through the Leshrac shard. They have abused that in the online tournaments prior to TI. And now this Shaker, plus the Morph, plus the Lesh and the shards, like the scaling, the stun, AoE stuns in the team fight later, it's going to be crazy. I think they have the Wisp Lesh, as we talked about. They're covering it so much. They ban the Invoker, they ban the Lina, they ban the Void Spirit, they ban the Kunkka. There's going to be very few mid laners that are going to be able to deal with this Lesh running at you with the Wisp tethering to him, overcharge and whatnot. So they do have very powerful things going into the game. Of course, they have the pick-off, the map, Leshrac shoving the lanes, relocate, the Shaker threat, bursting you out of fog on the map, Shaker morph scaling. There's a lot going on, in my opinion, for LGD. And yet again, you look at the 5v5, you look at the lineups, and you can theorize all you want. No, you also have to keep track, and that's why drafting is such a complex thing. You have to keep track of how the lanes are going to play out. Because if Team Spirit, they destroy the laning phase, none of that matters. The game might just be over minute 10.
So do you think they're thinking about the lane right now? Because in my head, I thought LGD, they were going to pick Rubik, right? Counter the skewer, but instead they go with a Nature's Prophet. Maybe a stronger laner into that Luna.
Very strong into the Luna Willow or Luna Bane. No matter how you look at it, this Prophet lane should be heavily LGD favored. And it complements very well what's happening. The Leshrac pressure with the Wisp, now you have Treants, meaning you do get a kill, you get a tower. Prophet connects, Prophet ulti. I think it plays very well to their game. It's going to stabilize the game by, slowing down the Luna, winning the lane. It's going to connect to the Wisp and the Leshrac, and it's going to add to the global pressure on the map.
Prophet is also one of the quickest heroes, you could say, in Dota. You pick this, like you pick an Ench, you pick an Ursa. There might just be a different Dota game coming your way. You might not be allowed to play as slow or as fast as you'd hope, because this hero adds so much dimension. And yeah, I think this IO Lesh Prophet, the timings that they can hit before minute 15, they can break this game.
And we see Team Spirit, they're trying to respond a little bit to that pressure with some outspan from long range, but I'm not sure if they have enough. Like, I look at the 4 heroes from LGD side, and that collapse, it looks terrifying, honestly, onto mid, onto safe lane, anything.
I see how both teams can fight. I will still put a lot, like if you take the laning phase aside, and let's say that both teams end up with some farm and items, you have this, he's known for his skewer plays right now, and then you also have the Willow Bramble and the Puck. I think both teams can fight.
Yeah, and now we're going to hear from Sumi, who has an interview with Xiaowei about this draft.
Thank you very much, AUI and the panel. I'm here with Xiaoba from PSG LGD, the coach. A lot of people were expecting your team to play a different team in grand finals. Did you prepare at all for Team Spirit?
很多人都觉得你们决赛对战的是另外一支队伍，你对 Spirit 有做准备吗？
我们昨天晚上已经把2个队的数据和资料就全部研究开会讨论了。
We've already studied and analyzed both teams' stats last night.
They are very, very prepared. All right. Many people have also said that Collapse's Magnus has led to many of Team Spirit's wins. How does the team feel about Magnus? Are they afraid or are they ready?
很多人也觉得 Spirit 的3后卫他的梦马就非常厉害，也是他们夺得胜利的关键。你们会担心这个英雄吗？
我们有想过他们拿猛犸这个英雄，就是全是在我们意料之中。
We've already thought of them picking Magnus, so it's all in our plans.
It is all in PSG LGD's plans, and we will see as we go into Game 2 of PSG LGD versus Team Spirit. Lurkle and Trent, take it away.
Thank you so much, Sumi. And yes, Trent, we are here. They're prepped and ready. A very confident sounding coach for LGD. How are you feeling right now about this matchup?
I don't know. Everyone thought that every other team was going to be ready for Team Spirit the whole way through, right? Constantly doubting them, thinking they weren't going to make it, and constantly giving Collapse these big heroes that they just discussed, like the Magnus. So we'll see. Game 1, they weren't ready. Maybe Game 2, they've got a solution.
It's going to be so interesting to watch. I feel like this team has really just ridden off the back of the momentum that they've gained from the very early goings in the group stages, and they haven't looked back once. The thing that I'm really interested to watch for is if they can keep that up. Like, I feel like sometimes when you get in these huge matchups and you go up one game, Team Spirit now there, you can sense the victory coming, and I want to see if they can keep up that same carefree attitude we've seen from them so far.
just playing Dota, just having fun with each other.
Yeah.
Surely that, that's got to feel like at some point you've got to be thinking like, oh, are we gonna win, guys?
Is this actually going to happen?
Are we doing this?
It's crazy. But we'll see if it ends up happening here as Mira spots out a couple of those treants that are trying to get a little bit of vision. So interesting things to watch for in this as far as a laning matchup is concerned. We'll see where that Nature's Prophet ends up at and how much pressure they can put on. Very annoying hero to deal with in the early goings.
Yeah, very much a discussion of timings really throughout all the games today. I feel like we're finding that one team seems to have a very clear, we want to do this at 20 minutes. And the other team's like, we just want to hang out and kind of scale.
Oh, Xingqiu gonna have to back out there on the Shaker. And 3 bounty runes again for Team Spirit, just like last game.
I will say, I believe this game that LGD had a very good idea of what was going on. I think they completely saw that puck pick coming. I think they banned around the fact that, like, yeah, that's going to be left in. We're okay with that. It's a go-to hero versus the Morphling. I wouldn't say they're really surprised. Toronto Tokyo, obviously an amazing player, but, the puck not exactly one of the ones that's been, popping off the rampages here for Team Spirit.
True enough.
Those spirits tend to scale just like a little bit more, and you kind of lack that a bit on the puck.
It'll be something to watch for, though, if he can make those good rotations, as obviously the Nature's Prophet on Faith Beyond can also move into multiple different lanes. So we'll keep our eyes on it. And like you said, I think both drafts have like a very clear identity behind them, right? You got this Magnus that's going to start off the fights occasionally after the puck comes in. You've got the Morph Shaker as a potential danger later on. But it is, of course, going to be played on that support Shaker this time. So we'll see if he can get into the items at the same timing we've seen for the cores.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like PSG LGD were very much ready for that, right? The Dark Willow came out, and then right away they're just like, yeah. We saw that earlier. We know you want the Morph and the Willow. We're taking the Morph and the Shaker. It's pretty good too, but yeah, the support Shaker hasn't worked out as well. So, a little bit close there, but Ame's all right.
He's going to be able to dodge away from that one. You could see here also a nice little interrupt on the pull-through that came through, and Faith Beyond steps over to the side. This, of course, sets up some free farm for the Luna. Normal laning shenanigans and the power that you have as Bane in these early goings.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the Bane too, because like you're so used to being able to dominate a lot of situations as Bane. While Miposhka now actually trapped in by a Fisher with the treants on top of him.
A lot of damage out there onto this poor old Bane. Can they run him down? A couple more hits is all they need. Not quite able to get that last right click, and Miposhka with the brain sap and the runaway. Xingqiu still might be able to run him down. That boots advantage,
he's not
but
careful. All right,
no.
good choice, Xingqiu. Good choice.
Keeps it safe that time.
But yeah, I mean, Bane, obviously you're used to trading favorably and having answers to like someone trying to pull your wave. But with the Nightmare and the treants being there, they actually have some counterplay here to like trying to set up for plays as well in the lane. So it's a good pick for the Prophet.
Allows him to play that much more freely. But you can see that Luna already off to a hot start. 11-2 right there in the top lane is down bottom. Y gonna take one little punch there from the Dark Willow, and a Fissure block off on the other side, but not within that tower range. So we'll be able to get away with some extra damage. Tango, as well as the Quelling Blade through, and he's fine.
That's a nice Fissure, though. Yeah. That's a pretty good chunk of damage on him there. Just the harass. Only has a single Tango left. No salves currently on Miposhka. So, that Courier, makes the call, brings him up, and it's going to be running with a salve in that top lane now. So if there's any chance here for LGD to score a kill, it might be sooner rather than later.
Too true. Got to look for that opening. Down bottom.
Really trying to pressure, too. They keep pump faking this Fissure up top.
I mean, if you catch him on the wrong side of it, it's going to be a ton of damage out with those treants. But even without it, right? Just the one Fissure and a couple punches from Faith Beyond, he hits really hard. They will be bringing over that Courier now. Miposhka needs to make sure this one does not get sniped by Xingqiu.
Hopefully you're not losing it to a Shaker.
Yeah, true enough.
But this bottom lane, lots of harass being spammed out here from Mira and Collapse as well. But it's a Morphling, it's an IO. Morphling in itself a very frustrating hero to lane versus due to the regen mechanics and the ability to morph strength and agi, but comboed up with an IO, it's pretty rough trying to get a kill. But Morph players, they tend to go for some of these overextensions, so maybe he'll get a bit greedy there.
Right, and even, just the pressuring and forcing him to switch over attribute shift, it makes it a little bit harder for the Morph to last hit. So it's not all bad, as Xingqiu is going to make that big move over underneath the ward and going to steal away the small camp. How many does he get? Not a ton, but nothing to say. Able to sneak a few as well.
All right, interesting stuff there. It does sacrifice the top water room potential there. Well, I say that, actually. Miposhka
moves in. Toronto Tokyo going to be able to pick up this water rune and maybe get some extra pressure onto Xingqiu. Jumps forward, and there's the first blood. Toronto Tokyo draws it.
Well done by Miposhka. Like, not even just, he basically baited out that rune, right? Let Zinq coming a little bit too close, get the first blood for Team Spirit, and they're off to a hot start in game 2 after already surprising pretty much everyone by going up 1 game. I mean, I agree. I thought their draft was better last game, but we just keep wondering, like, how long will the magic last with this team?
It does seem like just an unbelievably improbable run. To think that this team came all the way through in the qualifiers, we're down 2-1 in that series against Empire, and now up 1 game against the, odds-on favorites.
Oh,
This collapse, skewer, pull back. They do some good damage there on Ame. But he will not be under too much pressure of losing his life. He's not going to get the deny. A little cheeky there. I like to see it from the morph.
That's a morph player. That's what that is right there. And, nothing to say. Maybe not a Pango player. I have some theories, guys. I mean, that was his, as far as I could find, mind you, I looked pretty quickly. That was his 2nd professional Pango match.
Yeah.
Now, they played a lot of Pango when he wasn't available to play for PSG LGD. And, of course, Coach Chava stepping in, playing a masterful Pango. He did really well. And we've had this discussion of, like, how he sort of controls the macro game to help these players so they can think more about their own heroes and their own item builds. And they have a clear identity of, like, what I'm supposed to do in this game. But if you're not experienced on the hero, that formula doesn't work so well.
True enough.
But he's got a less draft now. Much better hero for nothing to say.
Very comfortable. Comfy time for nothing to say. And so far, he's doing fairly well. The early first blood onto Toronto Tokyo giving that puck the advantage as another stack up on those camps. And now, trying to scout for these runes. Maposhka just within vision there. And Nightmare. It's going to use a lot of mana there. And Toronto Tokyo gets the haste down bottom, so a little bit of luck and a little bit of good rotations, helping out Team Spirit.
Yeah, even threatening to have the TP in there, Maposhka will be all right, and actually just starts going right back on the aggressive. Will only catch a sentry, though. No obs taken away there. So we heard a lot of discussion actually last game from Insania talking about like the power runes and the strength you're going to have from that right here, and especially for a Puck, a hero that's really capable of trying to abuse that, because you want to be making these early rotations with the Dream Coil. And it looks like not going to secure another kill there.
Yeah, I think it's an important point to make, is that you've got to watch so carefully on any of these other side lanes. If LGD overstep, they get a little bit close to a tower, Puck could easily make that rotation and kill off a couple.
Ooh, Maposhka gets spotted on the way out here. So did sentry on the pillar, was kind of checking around, finding some wards, and then putting obs down by the Ancients. And there is a sentry here on Zinq, so this could be pretty painful.
Oh,
he's got it, right?
All right, they see it. I was right on the edge.
That's a huge D ward. That was a lot of time spent from Maposhka.
And at the same time, LGD going to move in and head up top. Why and nothing to say together. Are they going to try and make a kill here onto the Luna a little bit far out? And we'll see if they can connect with this one, but...
This is a tower kill gank.
Yeah.
They're ganking that tower. It's not moving. They don't have to worry about it. Luna, she's kind of fast, She's got some night vision. Maxed out Lunar Blessing. But the tower, it doesn't move.
True enough. They're going to move in and
next
take
hero,
this one down.
Marcy? Can she just throw the tower somewhere?
It's a possibility.
Ideas?
Dare to dream.
Okay, that went down really fast.
Yeah, this is a problem potentially. The early group up right there, and the fact that you can't really contest it at all. Yadoro heads back into the jungle to farm up his medium camp.
Look at Maposhka. He actually got spotted there. He did step in vision for a moment. And a correctly drawn line here from Y, I believe, is to his current path.
But they did get down that ward. We'll see if that one gets taken away by LGD. As down bottom, able to go for the RP now, connecting on to Ame, but I don't know if this is going to translate into a kill.
No, they don't think so, at least. They're not.
Skewer.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, they bring in the IO as well, and that's going to be more than enough. Ame backs away perfectly fine.
Maposhka's just like, can I get something done here? My wards. Getting a little D-ward in here, just roaming around. It's actually Y, who's well known for being such a roamer, but on this IO having to play a little bit closer to his ally.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a change-up in styles there. We saw a bunch of that rotation going on in the last game from him, as Maposhka, on his Bane, finds another courier kill.
Yeah, for Y, despite being a 5-player, he actually gets often categorized by like some of the information scrapers in Dota as a roaming hero. We've been told by some of our stats people, just because he spends so much time going between the lanes.
It's Ame, Collapse, facing off with each other. And just the focus right now on the farm, stacking up the camps. Ame again moves up to come and contest this, and Collapse, I don't know if they're really going to be able to do all that much to stop him. Very interesting, but Fissure Up top, now the follow-up, looking for it. Faith Beyond there as well, and this is going to be a kill.
That's a pretty stark difference to the 3 heroes stalking the Radiant carry. You know, they got to get this kill, right?
They got to get something here, that's for sure. Miposhka's waiting off to the side. Nightmare down, a couple punches, but they bring in the IO, trade off that Nightmare. And that's going to be more than enough for the moment, but why? Also dropping low, not low enough. Instead, they turn, find Collapse. One more touch is not enough with Faith Beyond. TPing in, they might be able to find him here.
That was the trusty shovel, keeping him alive.
Yeah, heading down to the south. TP is available, but Collapse in some trouble. Does the Spirit connect? Ugh, not quite going to be on the mark. He gets out.
Trusty shovel indeed. Up top, nothing to say. Zoning back Toronto Tokyo as he kind of came in to invade on the Ancients, but the pressure will stay in the bottom lane. We already saw how quickly that top tower went down. No point slowing down here for PSG LGD.
It's interesting though, right? Because you can see that this is a dynamic that we've seen multiple times throughout this tournament. You have Team Spirit with a little bit of a lead, even though it's LGD that are taking down more of the towers. Just that stacking up farming mentality we're seeing from Spirit right here.
And look at the treants put out here. They're watching for Toronto Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
Because they know that everything's on this Dream Coil. That's by far the easiest way for them to initiate. So you just fan out your units like that from Faith Beyond. And unless they're going to smoke in, you're going to catch that puck.
And instead, they're going to find the Dream Coil towards the mid lane, trying to take down this Lech. Do they have enough? Yes. Toronto Tokyo picks up that kill. And with that, a 3,000 gold lead this early on for Team Spirit.
Bit of a theme, I feel like, from these two games from PSG LGD. Ame did a similar thing last game on the Ursa, where he kind of stayed in an area which seems like, surely, you know, like you're in trouble, you know?
Right.
He ended up dying on the Ursa in the top lane. And this time, you know, at least they got a favorable trade. They took a tower after that, which I think was part of the plan for PSG LGD, but they were able to zone back on that bottom tower, shove the wave back out, and now even Collapse running in behind the tower, checking for a courier and everything down here. Here, they're not willing to just, like, you know, give you the, like, take the kill and then just give you the tower. They're able to defend after as well.
All right.
Okay, but now that pressure is coming mid.
Era, they're gonna have to get.
Kind of anything in time to catch, but that also comes back to just the idea of punishing that Dream Coil, right? It was used, you killed me, all right, congratulations, but I'm a Leshrac. I don't have any cooldowns. When I respawn, I'm coming right back, I'm taking that tower. But as you said, to the timings, like PSG LGD, Y has said before, like, we love picking for scale. We like to be very balanced. We're comfortable going late because we think we make better decisions at that point in the game. And even though this is a pretty fast lineup from PSG LGD, it does have some late game tools, right? The Morph Shaker, of course, if you get to that, can really go against anything at this point.
It is a little bit terrifying. You're not wrong. Actually queuing up the Dragon Lance right now on Ame. So obviously he could maybe disassemble that later and build it into the Axe if he wants.
Yeah, we see that a lot versus the Luna, because it makes like a really nice little matchup, right? Where she's kind of got this like zone that you're trying to play out of and kite her just a little bit, gives you that tank ability versus all this magic damage there too. Really balanced item to start out with.
So Team Spirit nursing that 2K gold lead as on the other side, LGD trying to keep the pressure onto these buildings. Up top, nothing to say is there. The 4 points in Edict forces out the glyph.
Wow, that was a pretty easy glyph to get, not gonna lie. Yeah. Didn't have to commit that hard at all. I mean, Collapse already TP'd up there too, so I can imagine they'd like to go for another one soon. And as we approach, you know, sort of past the laning stage, we start thinking, you know, how's the Roche looking this game? They could take it relatively early, right? You get an early DD with this lineup with Nature's Prophet and Morphling. They might opt for it.
And look at this movement in before the Blink Dagger on Shaker. Oh, Nightmare by Miposhka to dodge the stun, but Yaror is still in some trouble as they run him down. It was good, but it wasn't good enough.
Toronto Tokyo's coming, but they are too tanky. I mean, you see these stacked up heroes, maybe you're, you know, sort of thinking about going in for the Dream Coil, but it's a bit too much. They're just so tanky right now.
And instead, they try and find a pick off here. Nothing to say. The rest of his friends a little ways away. XinQ making the move over. They're going to get the terrorize. That's going to get the tether snap. And afterwards, the ulti coming from Willow, but nothing to say. Getting the regen from Y. Keeping his core player alive.
With the wand, with the IO, this early hood into the Eternal Shroud as well. They're going to have some issues bringing down this Leshrac without the Luna being there.
Yeah, I mean, you just get blown up like that. I mean, obviously a great nightmare dodge of the stun that came in, but in the end, you need to get that BKB online, as we've seen time and again, and Yaro trying to get towards it now. As LGD starting to cut a little bit into this lead here. And also getting a little bit of free time right now for Ame to farm up.
I think Toronto Tokyo is starting to just think about like his role in this game, what he can do. You know, Puck obviously pretty versatile in terms of the builds. Thinking about an early Aeon disc here. And we'll have to get out of this one. Even go for the a TP in there. Very nice play to even preempt that by blinking somewhere else for the TP. Could have set something up there. They also have the Orchid ready on this push here. So with the relocate in 5 seconds, everyone can be top lane right now for PSG LGD. For Team Spirit, they don't see very much. I mean, they're rotating a lot of heroes to that bottom lane. I think they just have to go for the counter push.
Yeah, there's no other play really. And they have a glyph still on LGD as well.
They need this Blink Dagger on collapse before they can defend.
It's going to be too much too quickly otherwise. And you can see getting very close. Collapse just going to farm up the rest of these camps here. While bottom, Team Spirit trying to pressure that in.
Toronto Tokyo, he's got the Veil.
Okay.
He's got the Blink.
He's thinking.
How bold is he?
This guy's crazy. We've seen it time and again, and Faith Beyond shows up.
He just wants the creeps. That's all he's going for here.
Oh, Faith Beyond spots him. The silence is there. That's the Orchid reveal, and he is mega dead.
Yeah, he's really greedy. It turns out. Oh, you know, you got a full creep wave. That's quite a bit of gold, too.
True.
But almost a certainty when you go over that play.
This does stop the backdoor protection, though. So this is going to stay alive a little bit longer, forcing LGD in this area for a bit. But eventually, it will fall.
And already 50 on back to that bottom lane to just push that back out too. So very well orchestrated there from PSG LGD. But the Courier, it holds the key. Ice Frog, little Courier, delivering a Blink Dagger to Collapse. So, you know, he's got a few more things queued up there you guys might have seen already in this tournament. A Shard, the Force Staff. He's made a couple plays. Perhaps some highlight reel ones.
He's been absolutely spectacular.
I think he needs a couple more this game.
True enough. Not if LGD have anything to say about it. They've also had a few highlights at times. And playing on that Earthshaker with the Morphling, you just know that there's pain coming if they're left to free farm in this one.
That's really the worst part of just staying in the upper bracket. Less highlights, you know, less games to play.
True enough, yeah.
Especially when you crush your opponent so hard. And then finally being challenged now by Team Spirit.
They're up one game again. Cinderella story that hasn't died yet. And seeing if it can continue on here in this game number 2. The BKB is done. Taking a look at a few of these other items around the map. Collapse has that blink done. XinQ getting closer to his, has it completed as well now. So all of the big fighting items online.
That's a bit frightening. It feels so good because, like, obviously as the offlaner, you got to get these like earlier items, get a Bracer, got a mech, and then you get your Blink Dagger. When you're playing as a support, you just got that one thing you're striving for, and it's kind of unfortunate when they match up like that because, like, now it feels like your offlaner can actually play, but XinQ, like, this is an excellent counter initiation to have right now. With the way that their lineup's kind of set up, like, he can just lurk for so long. He can just wait on the side, and what kind of vision is going to catch him, right? Maybe an orb. Maybe you can take a fight at night like this and have the advantageous vision.
Oh, but the Skewer back immediately onto nothing to say, but he's going to live through that. Nice jump out there. XinQ saving the day even under that ward.
I mean, they have Relocate, they have Fisher.
Yeah, they were super ready.
That is a tough one, but at least the Relocate gets burnt, right?
Yeah.
So that is something for them, but immediately into the Roche.
Oh, and LGD going to make a bit of a sneaky play here. Did Team Spirit know that this is going on?
Where's your DD, guys?
They're going to have to push. I mean, this is down to about half HP now. Team Spirit, it's really well covered by the vision of LG as well, but they're going to smoke up now. Can they get there in time? Aegis, it's super low now. They pull back onto XinQ. Going to try and take him down first. And they will get that kill, but it comes at the cost of the Aegis on Ame. No leaving it in the pit this time for any other teams.
No.
For IG, everybody knows.
At the very least, you do get yourselves a kill from that, but surely still happy, you know, XinQ. That's basically an exchange. Sometimes you trade a Roche for a tower. Sometimes someone on your team just needs to go and kind of feed to block out the smoke. And in this case, that was just a small feed to help things out here. So another game where, like, the kills have also stayed pretty low.
True.
From game 1 and game 2. Feels like teams are being very picky about their engagements.
So much on the line. It's incredibly tense for these teams. And I'm again, you start to wonder how much the pressure is going to be affecting these plays. We'll have to keep our eyes out for it for sure. But Ame with the Aegis, another 4 minutes with this. And I believe this is going to be the Manta coming out pretty soon for him as well. Can start to play with a little bit more freedom here, potentially.
And currently, they already have amazing vision in the top lane. You can see this ward just been staying on the high ground here. About a quarter of its duration left. Nothing to say. Feels confident enough to be up there. They already control the outpost since they took that tier 2 so early. Team Spirit, again, just forced to try and hold on and try and build everything up into Yatoro this game. Does, of course, have this buffed up carry mentality that we've been working towards in this main bracket event for pretty much every team. You're going to have the empowered Luna. But, you know, it's not the wolf fight. It's not the tiny. So Yatoro got to do some heavy lifting here.
Potentially, they have a Nightmare and then the walk away. They actually relocate into this one.
There's relocate. There's Nature's Prophet. You know, it's very scary. If you don't have that really quick burst, you don't really want to take it right now for Team Spirit. But they forced out some rotations at the very least. They got to try and hold this tower, I think, or else this really wasn't worth it.
No IO save this time, though. That's the danger of the relocate. Nothing to say outside of vision. They don't see him. Now they do. The pullback going to be able to get that skewer. The vision not quick enough. And nothing to say goes down. Now looking for more. Ame has to be careful. Xingqiu there as well. Oh, but Ame with the waveform through it. Brilliant play. Aeon disc afterwards. Now the chase, looking for more. Can they control? Do they have enough for the kill? The Terrorize comes out, but he got the strength form off. Faith Beyond jumps away. The skewer back onto 2. And the RP. Oh, collapsed did it to him again.
And look, they're just surrounding him. There's no chance to help. They have the IO, they have the Shaker, but
there is nothing else left in the tank there for Ame, although trying to TP out, but the stun comes through right at the end. And LGD, another triple kill for Yatoro. And Y will manage to escape from that one, but a huge win for Spirit here in game number 2.
That is massive. Oh, what an amazing defense. And Class does it twice in the fight with the skewers, catching nothing to say. Like, you know, you talk about this idea with like the Aegis and like, what are you supposed to do with this Aegis? Are we supposed to push towers? Is that the goal right now? So, you know, should it be on the Morphling? You know, right? Doesn't he kind of feel like the harder target to get in the first place, and instead you're sort of hanging nothing to say out to dry? Like, he gets one skewer and there was no chance to save him.
Yeah, I mean, again, part of that is also the decision to stick around after that relocate was used, because that's probably part of their idea behind it.
Yeah, I mean, that's your easiest long-range save, right?
Unreal. 5-6. And Team Spirit playing just absolutely great Dota.
I'm sensing a smoke up Echo Slam here soon. You know, this is what you do. You lost your Aegis and you're like, okay, guys, this is fine. This is fine. Group out. We're going to smoke. We've got our other tools back. Let's go dunk on some people.
Xingqiu so often has been the answer and the playmaker for this LGD lineup. Whether it's the Snapfire or this Earthshaker, whatever it is that he's playing, he's making the big moves. So 21 minutes in now, and Arrow continues to farm. I mean, this is the thing that's really scary, right? Like, how many times have we seen these Lunas just get completely out of control and then just walk high ground with an Aegis? And now it also feels like they have some of those tools with the Blinks online to actually win those Aegis fights as well.
Yeah, sometimes they don't leave that high ground. It just takes one sort of mounting up there and it's over. Part of the reason why they can be a little bit patient here for Team Spirit, but patience, you know, that's not something they're very well known for.
Scary. Invis. And then the smoke up afterwards. Team Spirit looking on the hunt. But LGD, sensing danger coming their way, will retreat out. Just
is he going to horn toss him again, Lyrical? Don't tell me he's going to horn toss him again.
Oh my God, he got him again, Trent! They did it to him as they find the pickoff. Collapse, you're too good.
What a smell.
Unreal.
Oh, they're so good at just finding that one kill and like waiting for this timing too of just this. Oh, they caught him on the zip.
They pull him back in afterwards. Why? In some trouble. Skewer, a little bit off the mark, but the Brambles are there for round 2 of it. Team Spirit, they came to play on finals day. Taking down Secret, now looking to go up 2-0 in the series against LGD.
Meanwhile, Faith Beyond at least, you know, getting something back, right?
Yeah,
go grab that outpost, get it, but man, losing the Roche into just like taking over the map right now for Team Spirit. They're just having fun. That's what they say, right? Do they look like they're having fun?
They do.
Well, Voshka looks like he's having fun.
I mean, again, we've talked so much about the effect that pressure has in this lineup. In a lot of ways built to try and just win the Aegis. Not a whole lot else is going to be acceptable for them and the sort of standards that they set for themselves. 5-8.
I love how you see the sentry they put outside the base too, because I had the same thought. I'm just like, where was that ward? Like, how did this Magnus do that? you know, and just nothing. They're just Collapse is just too good. He just feels it. He just goes. At the very least, yeah, it's a lot of centuries.
They're all over the place.
And, you know, that's because they also have the gem, I believe, still, yeah, on Toronto, Tokyo. So they know that they're in trouble when it comes to the Vision game. And so you get into this place where you're just kind of spamming them everywhere. And IO, you know, you heard our lovely draft panel, as well as Insania, talking about like the sustain and everything. And Insania pointed out just like how much more valuable that healing is on the earlier end, right? You know,
yes.
About trying to get as many of these these mechs and these holy lockets as early as you can in the game. And when you have to spend on sentries, that can be a bit tough. But at the same time, you have a Shaker on your team, so you're making a sacrifice in terms of the gold to ensure that Blink Dagger is going to be there. Unfortunately, they haven't really gotten much out of this Shaker, but Xinq's still waiting for his big moment.
And it's tough, right? Because you have to sort of go in and make that chaos happen first with the rest of the heroes on LGD, and specifically Nothing to Say. And he's built all these items to try and stay alive. The Eternal Shroud, going for the Halberd, now into the Plate Mail. And it has just not been able to be enough to keep him alive against the big plays from Collapse. MVP in this game too.
And now, it's nighttime once again. So what do? We smoke. You got night vision, right? You have the advantage there. They're going to have to rely on the treants from Faith Beyond if they want to get some of these plays out. That is the vision that they have at night. But the edge certainly belongs to Team Spirit.
Absolutely. As they move up onto the high ground, Xinq feels like he's safe, but they drop down the ward right away. Xinq manages to get out of there, has that shard to create that separation. But again, a ward dewarded and taken away vision from LGD.
They're just going to do the sweeping motion here, right? They actually scanned ahead to see if he could blink in there. He's checking the high ground. You know, Collapse wants this so bad.
He's ready. He feels the moment, dude. He is so on top of it. Waiting for the vision.
Yeah, Nothing to Say is going so far back. He's like, no.
He knows. Fool me. Oh my God, that was close. Fissure afterwards. They're sensing it. They back out of their
he
time.
is feeling it today.
Came close there.
I mean, that's what's so cool about the spell, though, is that you can just fish.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes you're not going to catch anything. Sometimes you get yourselves the big old whale.
You know what's also so interesting about this? Like, those two outposts are still held by LGD. They're keeping so much pressure on the map by LGD, and Team Spirit, it doesn't look like they're that interested in trying to take it back. They're just looking for those kills now.
Yeah, and unfortunately for them, it's going to be a very long Roche spawn, because that's kind of what they're playing for right now for Team Spirit, right? It's just like, we don't want to rush anything. We just need one more good fight. We're going to clear up this entire base with our Luna, and we want the Roche for that. So they're going to be trying to control around the pit. Someone's going to sit in there. They're going to wait. They're going to be very disappointed for 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
There you go.
And that's just time for PSG LGD. So what can we stall for here is the question. Shiva's coming out relatively soon for Nothing to Say, but the Aghanims, that's what we're stalling for. So whenever you get in trouble as a Morphling, you look to say, how good is Manag's game is it? And it's like, oh yeah, right, we picked Morph Shaker. So we do have that going.
That's going to be the big window that they're looking for. Only 2 points in Enchant Totem right now for that Shaker. But can still be devastating with all the lockdown that you get.
Now, interesting things that we're going to have to watch during that, though, will be the fact that it's the Aeon Disc on the puck, right? So they're going to be looking to catch and chain and even just try and, like, go through that stats resistance while it's actually active on Toronto Tokyo and just try and, like, keep chaining him down because he's not going to have the BKB. And then after that, we also know that Collapse, he really likes these kind of cheeky items, right? He doesn't like BKB. You've seen the plays this guy's making.
There's the Aeon Disc out. Toronto Tokyo not concerned, just blinks away after the Aeon Disc is procced. And also getting that D-ward again.
So the question will be, when they come high ground, you know, will you find this big Morph Shaker play? Are you going to catch these heroes without the immunity that they need to survive what is obviously a pretty terrifying duo of heroes?
Faith Beyond shows for a second. Collapse looks for an opening, sees him there. There's an opening, the horn toss, the pullback with Skewer, and immediately gets the kill. Nothing is free, not even pushing out a wave.
That's the kind of punish that you need. I mean, they felt pretty free on this map, right? Because they are moving around as a single unit for Team Spirit, right? And that's why we're spotting some of these heroes just like Faith Beyond's randomly in a spot, pushing out a wave, Nothing to Say. That's why they were able to control the outposts for so much longer than you might expect, considering the situation that Team Spirit was in. But the punishes are free, and so they will go back once more for a disappointing look inside the Roche pit, and then wait another 30 seconds, and then they'll go back and do it again.
But look at this. They have that Aghanim Scepter done on the Morphling now. Puck also just finishing an Aghanim Scepter and has an Arcane Rune bottled.
They're like sending in Y first. Just these slow movements in. Ready to tether back off Sentry. It's going to catch both.
They have vision right
they
away.
Know they're there.
Collapse. Oh, he doesn't go for it.
We've seen them go into these trees so many times.
Collapse.
I would not be surprised.
He's thinking about it. Xingqiu is back there.
Oh, they're just baiting out.
Yeah, they're waiting on it. And Faithbeyond, in the meantime, farming on the other side.
And the Radiant, they scanned that pit there to no success. They're going to send in the Treants, though. So, PSG LGD, they're in the know. They've got the Morphling with the Aghanims, with the Shaker, and a team that really wants the Roche. They have a plan.
This could be LGD's comeback here. Can they make it happen, though?
And how long can you sort of like control and force the focus of Team Spirit to be here, and what are you gaining on the rest of the map? I mean, again, they're fanning out a bit here, and you have the global teleportation up in 10 seconds for Faith Beyond. Yeah, you have Ame just farming the Dire Ancients right now, so...
Are they going to give up this
There go the
Roche?
Treants. I mean, they know they're in there right now. I highly doubt they just give this up for free.
I don't know, is it still inside here? They're moving over now. Faith Beyond getting some Treants out. Starting to move into position. They're going to lay down these brambles.
They're actually doing this so slow that maybe PSG LGD are just kind of fine with this.
Are they really going to give up Roche for this, though?
I think they just can't get into the position, right? I mean, they don't have the best vision around the area. They actually see absolutely nothing right now. So, I mean, they know they're in there. They've sent in the Treants. But again, how do you get that initiation when, you know, you're so reliant on... You'd rather just fight on the high ground at this point.
All right, well... LGD give that one up. We'll see if that comes back to haunt them later, as Mira is going to push out this lane up top. Faith Beyond very close, and they're going to have to deal with their lanes, because this is one thing that's definitely beneficial for LGD is their split push potential. Faith Beyond, BKB with that Orchid. Xingqiu shows up. Yadoro up on the high ground. Nothing to say there as well. They have great vision on Team Spirit, and now showing in the lane. They're thinking about going. They pull him back in, and he is done. Can they go for any more now? They have full control onto the Luna, but Luna just walks away. Living yet again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's thinking about, like, is there a buyback play there? Because that's a pretty bold sentry to place down.
On just like that, Team Spirit with Aegis in hand. Faith Beyond could maybe go for a play there, but Toronto Tokyo not showing himself, has the boots of travel to join with the rest of the team.
Right? They had the ward near the base. They actually saw that Ame was moving over here.
Oh, man. This would be such a huge pickup if they can get him.
The spider legs.
Walking in. They get him with the horn toss. Chasing down for more. Ame's done. Team Spirit, everywhere they go, people die.
It's the ward game, you know? Just spots them heading over there. That ward near the base.
Oh,
lets them know.
fire.
They chase it down. And now they go up. Will they leave is the real question. There is a glyph available for the Radiant.
True enough. They walk up high ground, and Yadoro going to start beating away, laying claim to this area. In the meantime, Faith Beyond's going to try and push up that top side, but they catch him right away with the glyph. Collapse, pulls him back in, breaks the coil. Team Spirit, they're just playing too clean today. LGD need more. They don't have buyback on this Morphling. They can't get 2 racks at the very least on the side of Spirit, but I mean,
do you need 2 racks?
I don't know. That's a good question. Well, maybe Faith Beyond is actually starting to take this one down. Now the jump in. There's the BKB. Faith Beyond still has that Orchid available, but the turn off to the side. Oh, great Orchid to interrupt, and that will be enough to get him out.
That was really well done with the BKB TV. It's like there's one answer, right?
Yeah.
Finds in there with the Orchid, so well done indeed. He will at least take a tier 3, so that's something, but of course there's still lots of time, you know. 2.5 minutes for a Luna to just run back to your base. She's pretty fast.
You're not wrong about that one, and can start pressuring down these other towers. There's no more glyph either. Do Team Spirit want to make another run at this with the Aegis? They're just so far ahead already. 10k gold. It does not look particularly close.
Yeah, the boots of travel there from Toronto Tokyo, so he's just able to push out this bottom lane. He can be there in a flash too, trying to match some of this global capability that's there from PSG LGD, but they're still waiting for their shining moment of Morph Shaker. They are in this game, believe it or not.
Just haven't had an opening. Satanic now done too for the Luna.
Couriers just flying in everywhere, dropping off all these new items to Team Spirit.
I mean, Yadoro's almost 10k gold up on the next hero on the enemy team. LGD just don't have an answer for this Luna, particularly with the Aegis. And it looks so free for him. This is the path to victory for Spirit to go up 2-0 over LGD.
They got to guard this wave that's with them, though. Faithbeyond has caught the next one. They're scanning that he's actually still there, so he's going back. Toronto Tokyo, he's going to try and hunt down Faithbeyond.
Oh, and off to the side, they get the vision. Tries to chase him down there. There's the silence, the coil afterwards. Still hits pretty hard on Faithbeyond, but with collapse in the area, they're going to break the coil and kill off the Prophet.
How fast does he need to buy back is the question.
Oh, man.
Can they actually like force it here? I mean, it's going to be a while for the lanes, right? That's kind of why you're able to sacrifice your life sometimes on Nature's Prophet. I don't think they can punish this simply by the speed at which creeps walk. So there'll be a little bit more time now for LGD. But what are you gaining in this time? You know, there's going to be a Scotty done. So that is pretty huge, actually. Scotty and the Morphling versus this Luna.
And again,
the Satanic.
I mean, it's looked so one-sided partially because LGD haven't taken that fight yet, right? Like, and there's still going to be that window when they have the, you know, Ag Shaker and can go in all at once together. It's just they're waiting for that perfect fight. Still have to be careful of that one on Team Spirit. And with this Aegis, you would have to imagine it would come soon.
Oh, Collapse, you know, I think he wants his perfect game here. He's the only one who hasn't died so far on Team Spirit.
Absolutely carrying out of that off lane.
No kills, too. So giving, you know? Such a charitable off laner.
That's the way it's supposed to be. Absolutely. Ooh, also, that Aether Lens for the extra range. So much range on absolutely everything in this game for him. But they're going to get set up again. Morphling sending in the courier. This one might get scouted here, and...
Oh, it's on the way out.
Nice. With the Lucid Beam.
Yeah, using the Lucid Beam and
well
the shard.
played. That was that the Scotty? Oh,
yeah, it
God,
was.
killing that Scotty.
Almost 3 minutes of no Scotty, but you know, it's okay. You know, LGD, they don't actually see enemy heroes. They just see enemy creep waves. Right? That's the goal right now.
Okay.
The creeps are the true enemy. So that's
Yeah.
why Faith Beyond, you know, he's not up top where the heroes are. He's down bottom where the creeps are. Just keep pushing them out. Keep them away from your base.
Try and extend this as long as possible and then force Team Spirit into a bad position. And, you know, in the last couple of minutes, they've caught up in terms of net
catching
worth.
up. You know, you look
Yeah.
at this Morph, he just keeps climbing.
Will it be enough, though? They can make the most of this, dodge fights, and then possibly get another fight around that next Aegis. That might be their window with the BKB on Ame.
I think what's very impressive from Team Spirit is how long they have just kept this single like ball rolling around together, and they're not panicking. Because a lot of teams, it gets to this point where like it feels like you've been roaming around for so long, and like now the Aegis is gone, so people said like they fan out a bit and they farm, right?
Yeah.
Morph Shaker will punish that with relocate, you know, with a Nature's Prophet. They will find you. They will kill you if you try and go out on your own.
But with all the lanes pushed out now, Team Spirit, without that Aegis, still going to walk up and hit this a couple of times. You have 3,200 HP on Yaro as well as the Butterfly gun.
And they have this ward on the high ground that LGD don't know about.
Collapse.
They have Collapse.
So often, he's been the one to make those big plays. They're continuing to push in the bottom lane. LGD hoping for an overreaction from Team Spirit. As they walk up, start to hit these racks, but likewise, bottom lane is being pushed in.
They've morphed in as well, actually. He's fully committed to the Shaker.
Terrorize afterwards, caught with the fear and the horn toss to pull back. They got nothing to say.
He's so far away.
They don't have a way to get to him. He is going to die here as they get the Fiend's grip off and the eventual right click down to death.
Oh, Toronto Tokyo in the back.
Chase.
He caught one on the way
Gets
out, too.
one! Onto ZQ, he's in trouble now as well. They find themselves another pickoff potentially here. ZQ, nothing else left in the tank, falls down.
That's a nice play. Very heads up there from Toronto Tokyo, just not letting him just get away with offering up the sacrifice of the Leshrac. You know, not just the goat. We're gonna take what is Shaker? Cow?
There you go.
We'll take that too.
Right.
Yeah.
They're keeping these lanes pushed out. And this is the only thing. We've seen a couple of teams, you think back to that Quincy Crew game, they were able to keep the lanes shoved in constantly and eventually win with an all-in push. And that might have to be what we see from LGD as well. Maybe a relocate play with Morphling or something like that. Because now,
do not say that. I won't allow it.
You won't allow
Not
it.
here. Not some DD relocate Morphling.
There's a chance. There's potentially a way. You got to be careful of your Team Spirit. With this global potential that they have on LGD, anything could happen.
The last outer tower. Now gone. PSG LGD.
Faith Beyond AC done. And Team Spirit Starting to sense Roche going to be back up. 10 seconds. And with that, it could be the window to close this game out for Team Spirit.
All right, refresher or eggs? What are we getting?
I'm down for either. As it will respawn right now.
Get the eggs.
Interesting. Smoke up, though. LGD. Is this finally the fight that they feel comfortable with? They have been sitting on this Ag Shaker for so long. Or Ag's Morphling, rather, with the Shaker. BKB now done to boot.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. Maybe they get ZinQ and eggs here. That would be kind of nice.
You can see Team Spirit not comfortable just hitting away in the Roche pit. Nothing to say, walks in. Yadaro up front and center.
Jeez.
Nothing to say, they jump in. There's the control. The damage out. Mapochka's dead, buys back immediately. Yadaro turns to fight, destroys. Nothing to say. They've got him. Caught to the side. Ame in some trouble. Hitting from the low ground. How many misses are there? It doesn't matter as they chase him down and kill him off. A great win for Team Spirit as they will find more and more. Unbelievable.
Well, the chase continues.
Yadaro just chases him down, and Echo afterwards trying to buy a little bit of space. Nothing to say, but Kivik will collapse, trying to take him down, but no, it won't happen. On the side, Toronto Tokyo will fall with a big stun afterwards. Yadaro moving in. He's big, he's bad, he's Luna trying to kill him off. The fear, the pullback, collapse, he's got him. ZinQ looking dead as well as they turn and hit. Another one bites the dust, but they buy back now on ZinQ. Faith Beyond getting absolutely shredded. Yadaro is too big. As they catch him in again, the pushback, they got him caught and gonna maybe find the kill. Nothing to say, down low, dead. Another huge win, Team Spirit. They won't be denied. The horn toss catches onto ZinQ, and Yadaro just slaughter.
The way they play these fights, they're so in sync with one another. GG is called. They call it a Cinderella story. Well, if the shoe fits, wear it.
Unreal.
Good.
And we got a crowd up there. Talent, very excited for this young team's present. They have been absolutely dominant in this one. 2-0.
It's not just the fact that they won 2 games, it's the way they won these games. The patience exhibited here is not something of a young team of like, oh, we crushed the lanes and we're totally owning this game. They were patient.
Yes.
They knew their timing. They watched for the only way for PSG LGD to get back in this game, and they just blocked it out.
Unbelievable showing here from this team. The patience, the calm, cool collectedness, and now 1 game away from being able to raise that Aegis. Unreal. Very socially distanced crowd. You love to see it from them as well. As we get ready to go into this game number 3, but the man behind it all, Mapochka right there, captain, and keeping everybody with a cool head.
Yeah, well, the man behind PSG LGD. What are the options now?
I don't know.
You know, you came in, you were the favorites. Everyone expected you to be the ones up 2-0 at this point, you know, for Team Spirit to be digging deep. He's got to come up with these plans. He's been challenged now twice. He's lost said challenge. What is up for game 3?
We'll have to see as we head back to the panel.
Thank you very much, Trent and Lyrical. Yeah, this game started with us talking to Zhao, who said regarding the Magnus pick on the side of Team Spirit, it is all in our plans. And gentlemen, the plan didn't work, Tico.
I mean, so first of all, PSG, they're very aggressive early on. They're taking top tower, taking mid tower, trying to go for bot. And then you see how Spirit, they kind of shift away from that aggression. They get up some aggressive wards. Again, Mapochka, MVP in all of these games just because of his vision. My glasses are foggy. They're now gone. But then you have the ability for Spirit to bide their time. And at 20 minutes, they then just turn it up, right? They get this shard of Magnus, and they're just going fishing. As soon as they see someone, whoop, come on over. We got a pot coil. We got a bramble maze on the Willow to go for. We got an Eclipse. We got an overfarm Luna. Yeah, again, I'm looking forward to seeing how they're gonna nerf Toffs after this. Like, it's insane.
Well, how are you gonna nerf Collapse? I think that is a little bit more short term because that is something, Cinderin, that I think PSG LGD is gonna look to.
Yeah, I think so, honestly, the most important way that that Spirit are winning the games right now is on vision. So a really big part, it looks amazing when you hit all these horn tosses, but the reason Collapse is finding them is that they find themselves in good position where they have better vision. And I think a really key part of that strategy is the Luna pick for the night vision. So, you know, I think what PSG LGD were thinking when they said they had a plan for this, you look at their draft, right? They have the relocate away from horn toss. They have a hero like Morphling who's really hard to kill in it. They have a really long range stun from the Shaker. So they have potential ideas that could work against this. The problem is you can't be ready all the time. Like, you have an idea of where the enemy might be seeing you, but every time you're caught off guard, you get that snap pick, and they just keep building and building and building. So my suggestion going into game number 3 is I think you have to ban Magnus, and then aside from that, I think, options are open. Or you need to set up the draft like you did in game 1, where Magnus was actually ignored in the first phase because of the way the picks went down in that order.
Yeah, let's talk about the start of this game, Tsunami, because it felt a little bit like a repeat of the start of game 1.
Especially because it was another IO draft. Granted, it was a much more different approach to IO, but the dynamic was still quite similar. And I think the cheap initiation, both literally and figuratively, has been very, very popular over the past 6 months. We saw like Beastmaster's Aghanim Scepter being like, I don't need to commit to a fight. I can just toss axes from miles away. Ember Spirit has emerged to be the most popular of the spirits as of the past few months, just because if I get a slight chains, great. Otherwise, I don't really need to go in. And now we're seeing the prevalence of Horn Toss, where it's like, I'll fish for a skewer. If I don't get it, I'm already going back to my base anyway. So I think they're, like Sin said, if you don't think that you can get vision superiority, you're not going to beat Spirit.
No, and they did they didn't beat Spirit in this game too, T-Gov. I want to talk about the Shaker Morph combo because that was something that we saw PSG LGD go for, and we thought, okay, you know what, they got a set draft, this is what it's supposed to do, but it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, again, it's something that you need time with, right? Like, Morphling needs to get to a couple items plus the Axe to then really join into the game. The Shaker needs to get to his levels to enable the Morphling. Like, you need to have your own map to play. And I think PSG early on, they were really breaking down that map. They were taking these early towers, they're utilizing that Fury, and like they picked off the puck at this tier 2 siege top. Like, it looked pretty good, but it's the fact that Spirit were able to kind of shift away that kind of map movement, and they're over farming on their heroes. Like, a very small thing, and probably wasn't really noticeable, but Yotaro, like, after fights, there was like double waves coming into him. He wasn't even farming the lane. He'd go to the jungle, allow other heroes to take that farm. And it's because you have even distribution of farm to some degree, you're able to continue taking fights every single item timing. You're not waiting an extra 2-3 minutes for the Willer to get a vessel, or, the Bane to get, a 4-staff, whatever. It's the idea that you are being ready at all times. So it doesn't matter if you're playing against Morph Shaker, because you're going to have that 1-2 item advantage the entire game.
And the key thing for the key component for Morph Shaker is similarly, it's vision. It's about seeing the enemy team first, so you can get that fissure combination. If you, in all of these like OS Frog moments we've had in the past, we're like, man, this shit is so broken, It's like out of the fog comes one fissure, then the other fissure. It's like X marks the spot, and they both jump in and kill someone. The problem is, I think we saw that like literally one fight in this game after they got it. Because every time it was Team Spirit that got the initiation. So, I mean, hats off to them. I'm honestly just super impressed. I was one of the non-believers, I'll admit it, going into this finals. I thought, okay, this LGD have looked so dominant. Even though Team Spirit are catching steam here and are looking really good, I still think they're going to falter. And at this point, LGD need to pull an IG from, which major was that? Against EG, the reverse sweep Singapore major.
They need a question mark.
Yeah, they need a question mark.
They need something. They need something. I like that you said, honestly, I'm really impressed. I know that, you got the Purge voice line going. And speaking of Purge, we're going to him right now because he has more on Team Spirit.
Thanks, guys. You heard from Toonami before about LGD's strengths right now, but let's take a look at what Spirit's doing. One of their big advantages right now is how versatile Yotaro is playing as a carry. And if you can pull out these really effective tools in the right games, it gives you a big advantage in the mid and late game. In this first match of the series so far, Naga Siren with the fast Ags after the Manta gave them great tools against these highly mobile heroes on the PSG side. Very useful against Pango to limit his rolling boulder. You can use it against Ursa to break Enrage. You can send your illusions on Ursa to force him just to retreat, not to engage. And these are some of the tricks that Spirit's used so far throughout the entire tournament, actually, to just break matches. In the previous match that they played against IG, they also had a big advantage too. It wasn't necessarily from, well, it was actually for some weird hero picks here. They grabbed a PA to give them AoE break against the Tide. So in this match, they also used kind of a cool combo that nobody really expected to just punish the enemy lineup. But what was still really obvious, and has been the case for every single Spirit lineup, is that they play so well together as a team. They cover each other's weaknesses. They follow up on each other perfectly. It's like they're mind melded together, and that is the reason that they're currently 2-up in the grand finals here of TI-10.
Yeah, it is honestly incredibly impressive. They're on the side of Team Spirit. They're one game away from taking this championship. There's 4 first-timers in their squad, 1 second-timer in Maposhka. in their squad. And of course, Silent's got a lot of experience. This is his 5th international, but his first as a coach. So there's that as well. And this team is just on the verge of winning. And I want to talk about that because mind games, a big thing in the TI finals. And we talk about the mind games regarding the money. I think the amount of pressure that PSG LGD is under, last TI that is won by a Chinese squad was TI 6. And before that, it was all like one TI for the side of China, one TI, not China, etc., etc., etc. But until TI 6, and since then, there's not been a Chinese teams winning it. And there's so much pressure coming on these players, on their backs, because they were supposed to be the champions, Tsunami.
A consistent theme of all of the exit interviews that we've seen from the Chinese teams is a great deal of national pride.
Yes.
They don't feel like they themselves are like, oh, we lost, we'll come back stronger next time. They're like, I have failed to represent our region in terms of Dota superiority, because even if they don't make it to grand finals, they have let another region beat them, and they have somehow created more competition now for LGD. Whereas Team Spirit, on the other hand, every single interview I've seen from them, they're just like, yo, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I don't know what game we're playing. I just play a game of Dota that we happen to be on the States, Sinrin, that we happen to be playing for extra $13 million. By the way, they don't care, or they don't seem to care.
Yeah,
it's not getting in their head.
I do think it's a pretty key point as well, because as much praise as we're giving Spirit here, and they deserve all of it, I also don't think LGD have fully showed up today. I think some of their moves, they're a little bit hesitant, they're a little less hungry. It seems like there are some nerves, and it's kind of unbelievable when you think about it, because the rest of the tournament, they have looked unstoppable. They've had games where they were super far down, they make the right moves, they win. And perhaps it's always easier to look weak against a team that's playing out of their minds, but it's like there's always a little bit of both, right? So I think for me going into the next game for LGD, Xiao actually plays the most important role in the next game, even though he's not even playing, because the team needs to get into the right mind space. They need to get the belief that they can win. And then I think the adjustment they need is that draft. I like the IO suggestion. Try something else, right? It bombed out 2 games now. You're playing against a team that clearly knows what to do about it. So you can still come back. But
what are your first phase bans, though? Are you still going to do Mag Mars? Because I think you have to target Collapse.
Again, the key thing here is the fact that I believe PSG had the choice of going for first or second pick, right? And they themselves put them in the position of allowing Spirit to ban out the Tiny and the Monkey, forcing themselves to either ban the IO themselves or pick it, right? So in this position, it does feel like you'd like to see something different from PSG. The IO hasn't really worked out. Just add some more stuns, add that ability to break down the map a little bit better, and then they should be in a good stead. And going back to the point of PSG and the expectation, you think about Spirit and how they got here. They just played the lower bracket game, right? They're 1 game down, they win game 2, they win game 3. Like that momentum, that is so hard to attain, in any competition, right? So that is very much why they're feeling confident. And of course, you do have the head kissing versus the belly rubs, and therefore head kissing is 2 up right now.
All right, gentlemen, here they come. It is time very soon. We'll see game 3 of this grand finals. And this 3rd game could potentially be the last. Right now, Team Spirit is up 2-0, and it has only happened once before that a team was able to 3-0 their opponent in a grand finals. PSG LGD, we know they have it in them to force out that game 4, but we need them to believe in themselves and in their draft as well. We know also that they can do it. Faith Beyond and Y both have already got a TI win under their belts. They won TI 6 with wings. We have seen Ame being in a grand finals. TI 8, of course, that was one of the closest grand finals we have had, and unfortunately Ame wasn't able to take it, but it came very close, and we knew that the pressure there might have been a little bit too much, but we know that he can do better than what he is showing right now, Tigov.
Yeah, it's just so difficult, right? Like when you're 2-0 down, this is really where you need to kind of just come together. And even if, like you say, one person hasn't been standing up or the team hasn't been performing to their best potential, they just need to rally around what they've been doing well to get to this point, right? Like they're in the grand finals. They've clearly been doing something right. So this is where you just need to kind of break that off, reset, go again, treat it like it's the first game in the series.
That is so hard to do. It sounds so easy when we say it. Hey, just don't think about that you're 2 games down. Just play a game of Dota, Tsunami. How hard is it?
But the problem is they've just now lost as many games in this grand finals as they have throughout the entire tournament.
True.
I don't know if they're used to losing. They have having to repair is a challenge, and Spirit has had to repair on their journey here. And having that lower bracket run coming into the past 2 days, playing 2 series means that in their second series they're already warmed up. LGD was sitting here waiting for the secret series to finish. They have not had to be on the back foot and be like, oh my gosh, okay, we gotta change our dynamic. I have no doubts that Xiaoba Xiao8 would be able to deal with that, but it needs to come now or you're gonna lose.
Isn't it kind of crazy to think about that no matter what the score is in this grand finals, LGD has a better win rate at this tournament than Spirit?
Yeah, that's true.
By far. Like, it's not even close.
No, it's not.
Even if they 3-0, their win rate is still way worse. So that's what finals are about. Like, it's the final game. Have you got it when it matters the most so far? Spirit definitely do. Yeah, for me, I'm just super excited to see the draft because I think this third game is very telling about the mentality. When you're kind of broken like this, when you're down 0-2, there's like 2 approaches to take. There's the crazy approach where you just throw everything out the window, you do something completely different. And there's the one where you're like stubborn to the, like almost to the limit, right? Where you're like, no, we can still win with this damn IO. We're going to try the 3rd time in a row and we're going to adjust some of the bans. So I'm really curious. And I honestly, depending on your perspective on it, I think I can see both approaches as a sign of strength and a sign of weakness.
True.
So it's kind of hard to just say out of the first 2, but I really, really, really want to see what they're thinking right now.
But do you want to be the team that potentially loses 3-0 in the grand finals to the underdog, just going IO every single time, not really changing it up?
I think that's something you kind of have to nod in your head, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to shut that out. I mean, as repetitive as it sounds, you got to treat this game as a fresh game, a standalone game, not having the pressure of $13 extra million on your head, not having the pressure of an entire region on your head, and not having the pressure of Coach Xiao8 on your head, and everything that comes with winning the international. And you just gotta play a game of Dota, play a pub. And you know what? Nothing to say. He's been playing so many pubs. He is the world ranked 1 player. I feel like we haven't really seen him step up that much yet, Tsunami. Is that because of his heroes that he's been playing today?
I think partly the heroes that he's playing, but also the heroes that his team is playing. I think that he hasn't been given the correct draft to let him pop off on a thing like Ember Spirit that we were talking about. Give him some cheap initiation that he can get in and out. Give Spirit a taste of their own medicine, because so far, every time you're running an IO strat, it's more on the shoulders of Ame to finish the game off, and that has not been happening for the first 2 games.
So to beat Team Spirit, you gotta pick a Spirit, Tigo.
Maybe so. I actually hate spirits. Don't forget that.
But
no,
you like to break a spirit, though.
I do like to break a spirit. But yeah, Team Spirit, their second pick, right? So in both the previous 2 games. So in the draft order, that simply means that they get to pick the core after seeing 4 heroes and the mid after seeing all 5 of PSG 2 times in a row. So we mentioned the idea of the impact of Ame, the impact of Nothing to Say. It is a product of the Lesh was a sacrificial type pick in the draft. This Pangolier was kind of thrown out there, not a comfort from Nothing to Say. So I would really love to see either they shift around their first pick drafting style to enable the players a bit more, or take that second pick one time and just give it a go where they actually get to go, okay, this is our best core in the game, this is our best read on the game, and give it a go. Because right now, Spirit is utilizing that 18 and 24 very well.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. It is time for Game 3 of this Grand Finals.
Team Spirit versus PSG LGD. Grand Finals, Game 3.
Welcome again to the draft panel of the grand finals for Game 3 between Team Spirit and Team LGD. And honestly, no questions this time, because I really want to see exactly how they've adapted their bans to Team Spirit's lineup. We actually saw that LGD, they were choosing first pick before, but they've made an adjustment here and they took second pick.
Yeah, it means that now this is all about Team Spirit. Team Spirit is in the driving seat more than ever. They are forcing LGD to, they're making them second guess themselves. They're making the 15-1 group stage team, the upper bracket dominant team, they're making them completely question everything that brought them so far. And that is crazy. So now Team Spirit is leading the charge. LGD is switching things up, maybe trying to put the players back in their comfort zone. We were sitting there watching their body language with Johan, like in this pre-stage kind of area. You know, Chao 8, arms crossed, them looking at their feet, not looking at each other, not sharing, you know, energy. This is what you need when you're back against the wall. You need to be there for each other. You need to bring the momentum back. You have to create it somehow, because obviously the Dota is not bringing it. And on the other side, you have Silent talking to them, and they're all looking at it, kind of drinking whatever word he's giving them, and they're uniting, you know, feeling, you know, bringing the uprising energy.
It's two completely different teams right now from what we could see body language-wise. I wonder if this change-up will make them feel slightly better, because now it's a new page, new book. Chao 8 is going to go back to a second pick. Maybe that will give them some type of confidence boost or belief in now what they're going to do. I do think that they need to play harder, play better. Team Spirit is showing up today, and LGD, they need to bring their A game every game.
And we see, like, even though they lost last game, even though they're down 2-0, I think this might actually be a good sign for LGD. Yes. They're still confident, even against what Collapse showed on the Magnus. I think this is the first time I've really seen people pick the right counters against Magnus.
Finally.
You need to deal with the skewer, right?
It is finally coming up, and I also want to mention, like, this is the beauty of Dota. Magnus has dominated many patches. It has dominated many years for different reasons. It has been about Empower at times. It has been about RP at times. This Magnus is about skewer. It's about repositioning a hero in a way where the fight is so unfair for one team. Yep. But this skewer play is stoppable. It's stoppable by a Rubik Lift, probably one of the best tools in the game. Yule Scepter, you know, Lion Hack, like Force Staff. There are ways to stop this skewer from happening. This Magnus doesn't buy BKB early in the game. He's playing with Force Staff, either lens, like, and you have to stop it. And I love the confidence from LGD in a way. You know, maybe Chao 8, maybe somebody in that booth is telling them, hey, I know this Magnus looks strong, it looks unbeatable, it is beatable. Stop the skewer play. Now you end up with a Magnus stuck in the fight, cooldown skewer, he's just gonna die. No RP, the whole team fight goes away. And then the fight is absolutely terrible. Great way from LGD to counter it. It is abusable, and they're going for it. I love it. That is confidence.
Yeah, I think LGD, whatever it is gonna take for them to really find themselves and play like LGD, they need to find it now. They don't have any more chances. You don't have another game to lose. This is going to be a good route, but I am still very worried for them and worried for what's going to go through their heads if they get into this game and it starts going south at any point.
You want to win TI, you have to be the best. You have to be the greatest team of the season, or you know, at that point. And the greatest team has to be able to play Dota to their fullest, even down 0-2. And if they can't do that, then it was Spirit's win. So now is the cornerstone. This is definitely where the finals is going to be decided one way or another, or either it's going to be decided now or we're going to get another round of great Dota, which I'm hoping for. Like, I want to see 5 games, but definitely if LGD is going to break, it's going to be now.
Yeah, I mean, what a run though. I got to give Spirit a lot of credit and Collapse a lot of credit for what we've seen so far. It's been insane, the stuff that they're doing, the stuff that they're pulling out. If you were to go replay analysis, Spirit before today, you could pick up something, but this is still a different team than yesterday. They are better, they are more confident, they're more free, and they are picking whatever they feel like picking and doing whatever they feel like doing.
They're blossoming. It's beautiful to see. It's beautiful
I think we've
to see.
seen that the entire lower bracket run. I mean, they're a team like, oh, maybe it can beat this team. I mean, unfortunately, they eliminated you guys, but throughout every series, I think, as you said, like, they're bringing out better and better Dota, and all this momentum, like, it's come crashing into LGD. Like, they were by far, I think, the favorites of this tournament, but now they're down 0-2. I want to mention this Undying pick. So in my head, like, Magnus, he repositions the fight, so maybe Undying, he has troubles with that, but is it just, like, because of the Rubik lift, they're so confident in stopping that, you can, like, anchor a fight with a Tombstone, or, like, what do you guys think about the pick?
It is possible. It's also a very good hero against Magnus on the lane. There's that too, and you also have to keep in mind they're playing second pick, so they have to kind of show cards. You probably better show an Undying card than another card. It's like strong laner, probably going to allow Ame to pick out of a very wide pool of hero because he knows that his lane is secure no matter what.
They also run out a lot on Faith Beyond.
Yeah.
So that could be a possibility.
True. Could be a possibility. Like, the way I look at it, and I think strategy-wise, what could be very interesting from Team Spirit is like, okay, they get it. They're going to try to stop this skewer. But Magnus has been dominant for other reasons, as I mentioned. Maybe you can play an Empower strategy, where, you can play like you can build up on top of this Magnus, get a hero to, the Mag Jogger, for instance. It's not as much about the skewer than other things. You get this Jogger to a very strong moment. The Magnus can play without blinks. We've seen Magnus win games without blink dagger. You just build on top of, he goes back into blink, he can decide to go back into Greaves this game. mech into Greaves into Crest and put that on this one hero that's just gonna, and then this cure is never gonna happen. And now you're stuck with the Rubik that's just looking at the, it's like, it's sure happening, guys, because that's my job in this game and it's not happening. I'm just fade bolting.
Which is also where the Undying pick, I think, comes in to maybe secure that these are fights that are going to happen. So now if you're playing on RP or playing on Empower, you're at least fighting into the Tombstone.
Yeah.
I get the pick, and also what you said. I think he suffers a lot from the Skewer play and the fight being repositioned. Already now, LGD are probably thinking about objectives together. They want, that's how you're going to enable this Tombstone. That's how you're going to enable your two heroes to kind of punish this Magnus.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But we'll see. I'm still worried for LGD. Now I'm seeing things, and I'm seeing this Morphling ban. I think it would also be a good pick for them. They're also worried about like a Willow Morph combo, but it's good against Mag. It would be good with Undying. It's what they're looking for forcing objectives and things like this. I wonder if they're going to have a solid plan going into this, if they're drafting free, or if Xiao 8 is also dealing with all this pressure that they might be feeling, being the favorites, having not lost many games before, and now losing games for like the first time. Ooh.
Again, this is, I think, it's dealing with the Magnus Blink again. They're worried about that skewer. I really like what you said, Seb, about maybe making a pivot on the Magnus style. I think the other thing that this hides is whether Undying is actually a core or not. Because I think that's really what they're thinking about here.
That's one thing. I think there's two ways here. If Spirit can play Mag mid, I think it's very interesting, this game. The Mag doesn't have to go into the Undying lane. Mag mid is Echo Saber Mag. He's just gonna blink, RP, kill. He doesn't cure back, you know? And he is not gonna care as much about what's being built, and they get also to counterpick the Spectre greatly on the lane. It's a possibility, but they could also decide to double down. They go for the Mag PA. I mean, I think they're thinking about the...
This dude's playing everything.
Yeah, everything. And the PA shard versus Spectre, crazy. You don't scale into this. He will pop him in a second with Empower and with the shard. And I'm sure, you know, Yotaro PA, for those that don't know Yotaro well enough, like, he is one of the greatest PA players ever. If you encounter him in a pub playing PA or watched him, this is his bread and butter. He's super comfortable.
He played it here, I forget who he was playing against him. He got Rampage in that game with PA already at TI. So I mean, he is playing everything. He's literally playing every hero he can.
And I want to mention how LGD, I am scared for them. I want them to bounce back. I want to see more LGD Dota. I want to see Game 4, I want to see Game 5. But they have played so far Tiny on crack, you know, Tiny Ogre, Tiny Mag. They have played ET, you know, enabled ET that is also crushing the games. They have played Lycan. They have played these really powerful strategies. And so far, I don't see the multipliers here. I see the one Spectre, I see the one Undying, I see the one Bloodseeker, but I don't see the multipliers that LGD are so good at. They're creating these strategies and they're buffing them so much that it just breaks the game. I'm maybe missing it, but so far, I don't see the game being broken from LGD's side. So to me, Team Spirit has successfully pushed LGD out of their trademark this tournament.
I think Team Spirit's lineup also looks like it has a lot more potential. When you look at these fights and when you look at what's going on for LGD, tell me about what their gameplay is going to look like this game. How are they forcing a tower? How are they forcing a Roche? How are they forcing a fight this game? I don't like what's going on in the draft right now, where I already see that they're just addressing, oh, they pick PA, oh, we feel bad, oh, we need a Rupture to try and deal with it. It makes not a lot of sense with the Spectre. It makes not a lot of sense with this Undying and Rubik. Maybe with the Rubik for the lane, but still, there are picks in the game that could maybe make this come more together, find a way to scale into them, win the fights, get the Roche, play some team fights to actually make it happen for your team.
So is that what you think they're lacking on the LGD side? Just need some so it's damage for objectives and maybe some more team fight.
Some way to force the fight. It can happen through objectives. It can happen through Roche. It can happen through catching them with a good Spirit hero.
As for the last game, I'm going to try to make a case for LGD, for the LGD fans or the ones that are hopeful to see a Game 4. They have very strong lanes. I mean, Bloodseeker versus PA, you know, I speak from experience. Like, as an offlaner, I can tell you this is a free lane. Yeah, he's going to have the lane of his life, especially with the Rubik on this lane. You know, they did see the Magnus, and they decided to go with the Undying and the Spectre, so I can only assume that they're happy with this lane too. So now these are two side lanes, and they're going to get the last pick for nothing to say. He has proven that he can, you know, truly dumpster a lane if he's given the tools for it.
And Tinker's still in the pool this game.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I think he plays an insane Tinker.
They also have a way to force these fights. I mean, at the end of the day, they do have Rupture plus Tombstone, and that is a way to fix the fight somewhere, you know, and force them to fight into the Tombstone, give the Rubik freedom to position himself around the fight how he wants and gets his spells off. And, you know, and we all know what Xingqiu can do when he's enabled in these fights. There are ways for LGD to make that happen. I see the Tinker. Then the Tinker would actually, you know, Tombstone, Night Vision, Bloodseeker
Rage.
amplifying.
Yeah, that's
you know,
crazy.
I would just be worried about how are they forcing a fight with this Tinker? How are they actually catching a hero? It has to be the Rupture, it has to be the Lift. I don't think it's the best and easiest ways to force fights.
Early on, Rupture, ATOS, they have to build on it.
ATOS would be a really good, it would be a really good timing for them.
They
I
have
see
to
it.
build on top of that. And I see how the Tinker makes all of it. Nothing to say, one of the best Tinker players in the world. Incredible Tinker, actually. So good on the hero. You get the Spectre with the Ags, you get the Dagger Vision, meaning you get the enemy hero's vision. So Tinker's gonna see everything. He's gonna be amplified by Blood Rage and the Nighttime Tombstone Vision. Everybody's tanking the Tinker spells. Very beautiful pick, in my opinion, that can, once again, it might enable their entire lineup if they are willing to look at it.
What's left for Toronto here? So there's a lot of heroes that are banned. We have.
Do you feel like he needs like a preemptive Tinker counter though? Because when
He
you guys
has
are
to.
talking about Tinker, I
He
feel
might.
like
He might.
it seems so free. I mean, you guys
It's
are hyping
very
it up,
free
so.
right now.
He
It's a
has to
very
color
free
the
Tinker
Tinker
game.
angle. He has to. But no Puck, no Storm, no Void Spirit, no Ember Spirit. I don't know, man. Like most of the heroes that he would want to pick are kind of gone.
Okay, that's a Toronto hero, but it's not a inherent Tinker counter.
No.
You can catch him, but you don't stay on top of him.
And nothing to say, he was a Tinker spammer. When he was like a C pub star, he was one of those guys.
Yes, give us the NTS C Tinker. We want to see it. Don't go out without it. He is the king on this hero. Come on, make it happen.
Here it is.
Okay, perfect.
Does
might
this
get a
make
game
you
four.
just favor LGDs? Because I think this is the first game I've seen like their draft. It looks cohesive with this last pick.
I'm a huge Tinker believer. I believe that if you play this hero to the limit and you find ways to push his timings this game, I think he's going to shine. I think you're going to see this hero popping off, and he's going to be making Team Spirit run away. They're going to be dying from rockets. It could be a massacre. It always has the potential. This hero is so strong this patch, and yeah, one of the best Tinker players. I hope to see fireworks.
Yeah, regardless of what I want to see win TI, I want the game 4 at this point. So for this game, I'm all in LGD. I want them to take it. I want to see more Spirit. I want to see more LGD. I want to see more Dota, man. That's all I care about.
I want to see more Dota too, but I would be very happy to see Team Spirit win. I think these guys have shown the world some incredible games and the beauty of the game and the beauty of these heroes and what you can actually make happen. So either way, I'll be happy for Team Spirit, but boy, I want to see more games too.
Excited. Pep talk. You see it.
And the draft is finished, and we're going to head straight over to Casters with Insania and OD Pixel.
Thank you very much, Yowie. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 3 now of the Grand Finals. PSG LGD against Team Spirit. Team Spirit up at the moment, 2-0. One game away from potentially taking that championship spot. Insania, we heard from the panel there during the draft. They were they predicted it perfectly, this Tinker pick, and they were excited to see it. Could this be what allows PSG LGD to maybe turn the tides and get the momentum back under their grasps in this series?
I mean, I absolutely think so. Out of all the drafts that we've seen from them, this feels the most LGD. I felt like in the last game, they didn't really have a way to fight. I feel like LGD's like proven we're one of the best teams at fighting you. And I feel like in the last 2 games, they just didn't have a chance to do it. So I really like this draft from them, and I think they have a way to, battle out against Spirit. But at the same time, I see a way for Spirit to deal with a Tinker. I don't think it's an uncountered Tinker. I just think of the way Yatoro plays. I could easily see him, get on top of the Tinker and pick him off in a fight, come in from the sides with Meld, and, read the movement correctly. Because one of the themes for me about Team Spirit victories has been vision. And vision is the best way to deal with Tinker. This hero abuses vision better than most heroes. So I think the vision war that's going to happen between Spirit and LGD is going to be really interesting.
Already going to see both teams head-to-head it. Nice sort of catch from either of them, White. Gonna try and hide in the pit. Already the rocket's starting to come out from nothing to say. As Team Spirit, they will back up in either side, able to get the grab that they wanted to potentially get that first blood. But let's see, as you say, definite potential here for PSG LGD and their lineup. But as we've seen so far, 2 games in which Team Spirit have looked to be completely in their comfort zone. And it does seem the pressure, it's certainly more so there for PSG LGD in this series.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. And I agree with something No-Tail said, where like if this game starts looking bad, if the early game doesn't really go their way, I could easily see some potential crumbling coming out from LGD. But I feel like they have the makings of a good draft. When I look at it objectively, if this was like a first game of the series, I haven't seen either of these 2 teams play, I would have favored LGD's draft. I like what they're coming into this game with. They're setting up strong lanes, and they have Tinker to like kind of provide the damage for later team fights.
One thing, though, to me that sort of stands out looking at the lineup of PSG LGD, whilst they've definitely got a lot of heroes to create that vision, set up for the Tinker to go crazy in the team fight, sort of similar to, I believe, the Game 1 draft, there's not a lot of stuns.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I think the idea here for them is that you're not really going to be committing into fights. You're not jumping a hero and then just trying to stun him and lock him down and chase him down. You're rather trying to burst somebody really quick and then resetting out. So the idea of using Rupture and then dropping Tombstone is going to be their key way of team fighting. And then you're going to use Rubik primarily for counter initiation. So when somebody comes into your backline or when somebody chases down the Bloodseeker, that's when you'll see the Rubik coming with lift. That's when he's going to come in with a clutch tornado or something along those lines.
Let's see how these lanes end up panning out here in the early game. Yatoro on his PA, as we said. This time a hero that he has already pulled out on the main stage.
I love this from Yatoro. If we take a look at the bottom lane, he's so good at doing this. As soon as you see Xingqiu run for this block on the small camp, he doesn't care if he misses a creep or two. Just immediately runs over, make sure they get that pressure. Xingqiu's immediately forced to TP out. So that's mana. That's a Fade Bolt that he's not going to be able to use on them. Plus he doesn't have a TP. So just really nice gameplay from Yatoro, helping out his position 5 player win these trades.
Even stepping up there, trying to get connection onto Xingqiu, but smartly keeping his distance. We'll have to watch out when the level 2s are hit. I mean, this lane in general, when you see the Bloodseeker Rubik, do you feel that that is a lane that the PA can struggle against, or is it not too bad?
I think it's the kind of lane where they can kill the Rubik. Oh, and here we go. This might be first blood.
They're going to try. They get in the Thunderstrikes there, Miposhka. First blood for him down in this lane. The trades favoring them here between the supports.
Yeah, so if you think about how the lane is structured, Bloodseeker Rubik, they want to slowly like harass you out of the lane. And if you think about Disruptor PA, it's a similar story. But Disruptor PA have kill threat on Rubik because the silence from Bloodseeker is so slow that he can't really save his Rubik if they go on him.
My goodness, look at this aggression in mid. And Toronto Tokyo really building back. Nothing to say.
Yeah. He does have his bottle though, and the water runes are up, so he should easily be able to run to the top one and pick it up for himself. Yeah, up top, Collapse is taking a lot of pressure here from the Spectre Undying. I think the Spectre Undying is an interesting lane because you won't really see the Spectre connecting as much as the PA is to his carry and helping him, but he'll provide the vision from the dagger. There will always be that slow that enables Undying to get more hits in.
Sure, and you feel it's unlikely for the Mag and the Willow to ever really get on top of the Spectre in the lane?
I think, so the idea for the top lane is that the Undying's going to tank a lot of damage. He's going to be in your face. You're going to have to be hitting the Undying and dealing with his mana for the first portion of the game. And that will lead the Spectre to get a lot of farm for free. However, the Undying has an issue because he runs out of mana at some point and he runs out of healing. And usually when he does that, he's forced to reset back. And then Spectre can take some pressure. But so far, it seems like Y is doing a good job. He's just blocking out these camps, providing vision. But you see this, Mira's immediately on top of dewarding the ward. He reads it perfectly.
Yeah. Knew exactly where he was heading. Right, we'll go for the quick trip back to base here. You'll see mid. Toronto Tokyo is going to have to take the walk back, so a bit of space given to Nothing to Say as he is starting to get ahead in this matchup, getting a good few denies in against the Invoker.
Yep, and the Invoker's going to lose a full creep over experience here, plus the bottle refill from Y. This is great gameplay from LGD, and I think this looks characteristic LGD, right? You expect to see them do these things where they're optimizing everything that's happening. Y runs in, drops a ward, denies himself the tower, blocks the Ancients, TP's mid, refills the bottle for Nothing to Say. This doesn't look like a phase team to me, you know? We were a little bit worried that maybe they're going to be feeling a little bit of tilt or pressure, but the way they're playing right now, looks like their head's in the game.
A solid start on the lane so far. Toronto Tokyo, he wants to try and play for the 4-minute rune, but won't manage to do so. Extra backup was on its way over for PSG LGD to keep control of that.
Yeah, so you notice both 4s are rotating for the runes, right? And in this situation, the Bloodseeker's pretty fine bottom. He can't really be harassed out of the lane because of how the Thirst functions, and he just keeps regaining HP for every last set that he gets. Meanwhile, the Mag up top, who's laning against the Undying, runs into this impossible block where he can't really rock up to the lane and get gold. And I think as long as they play this rune game where they force the position 4 in Mira to rotate towards the middle lane, LGD's going to come out with a little bit of an edge out of the laning phase.
Oh, their core's definitely looking comfortable so far.
Yeah. You see Miposhka rotating over mid, setting up vision. There's so much vision around this middle lane for the Dire side. They don't want this Thinker to go down.
Yeah, almost impossible to close in on Nothing to Say with this sort of setup from the team. It's going to ensure that he does get this good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you take a look at the CS, you notice the Invoker's really falling behind. The Tinker almost has as many denies as the Invoker has last set. So, like No-Tail and Seb mentioned, right, this is one of the best Tinker players in the entire world. And he's living up to that praise that he received on the panel.
But would you imagine that even though it did get through as the last pick, do you think it was something that Team Spirit would have had in mind? They knew that this was going to be, there was potential of this coming up as the last pick for PSG LGD.
If I'm being honest, I don't feel like they really addressed the Tinker in their draft. I think this Invoker was more like this is what we're going to go with, as Imposter's in trouble.
They're going to try and chase him down. He does get the kinetic field off. Yatoro tries to turn towards Fabian, but the backup's there from White. He's trying to commit Yatoro, but can he get the kill in time? With the stick charges, Yatoro's going to try and run him down, but Fabian is out to the side. Yatoro's not got the further vision. He is going to be able to jump out of the blood right, though. Over to the creep wave.
The zombie gives vision.
See if they can chase him under the tower. They can't. Oh, they can! Oh, they get him!
The zombie vision.
They still manage to see him there as Jinkyu reaches in with a hard-hitting Fate Bolt.
Actually, I do believe that was a Thirst vision.
And now Maposhka. I mean, this is going to be potentially another one. Can they get him as well?
There's no man on the Rubik, but he has boots.
I mean, Jinkyu, he wants to dive in for this. He is taking quite a few tower hits here. Toronto Tokyo will TP over. Jinkyu, he'll get punished for this dive. See if Toronto Tokyo can find anything more here. Why still under the tower? No TP, no mana. So they do dive in to get an extra kill on the Disruptor Maposhka, but they lose 2 heroes for it. Toronto Tokyo, pretty nice kills for him as well, considering the slower start he was having in comparison to nothing to say in the mid. So being able to make that move and pick up 2 kills on the Invoker, that's going to get his early game back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. But we touched on this in the VP versus Team Spirit draft, how it's very important that you get earn charges on the Invoker, right? This is what enables the Invoker to play his game and be faster on the map. Unfortunately, he has not yet bought his earn, so despite getting these 2 kills, he doesn't fulfill the objective of getting to earn charges in the early game. So while it is good for them, it also has its drawbacks, and this is in large part due to how well Nothing to Say played his lane out.
There's been a lot less focus now around top as Collapse happily farming here in the lane against Arme, getting just as much as the Spectre. And that's got to be, after Game 2's performance, probably something to fear if you're PSG LGD. Collapse, I believe, ending 2-0 and 20 in Game 2 on his Mac.
Yeah, absolutely. Middle lane, Nothing to Say is getting pressured. But you see here what Seb and No-Tail talked about. They don't really have the damage to punish him. They don't have the tools to really kill him. The Invoker is good at catching him, but he's not a hero that can stay on top of him and keep outputting damage, because as soon as you've used your spells, that's kind of all you have in the tank. And in the bottom lane, you notice here how Yatoro doesn't feel as safe sitting on the lane. When the wave is pushed out, he's forced to move away from there because the Rupture is up now and they have the ability to go on him. So you can look at Team Spirit's positioning. They're expecting something to happen down here.
They certainly are. Yatoro just trying to farm with the dagger from the blur.
Invoker's resetting back on the lane as well in the middle lane to set up for a potential TP.
Let's see if Jinkyu and Fabian feel that they can strike. They're being careful. They know that a reaction will come out if they decide to try and dive in on Yatoro, so they won't fall for it.
But yeah, so far, you notice as soon as the wave goes out of his tower, he's forced off. And Spectre's just comfortably sitting top. He knows that he can lane against the mag at this point and doesn't really feel the pressure. However, despite all of this, Spirit does have a slight gold lead all around.
Incredibly close, though. PSG LGD, they're bringing extra numbers down bottom. White, he's ready to join. They want to dive in for Yatoro. They commit with the Rupture here. Horn over as well. They're in onto the PA. Yatoro will fall. See if they can get Maposhka as well with the 4 of them and the Tombstone down. They certainly can. The pressure mounting from PSG LGD down on this bottom lane. They know that they can get in and get away with this, especially with the global backup of Arme.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the strengths of Undying in the early game, because once you place that Tombstone, the enemy team doesn't really want to TP in. They couldn't really respond with their heroes the way they wanted to. Mirror started his TP, but immediately canceled it, recognizing that, you know what, I can't TP into this Tombstone. It's not going to be a good fight for me.
See Collapse trying to play around with Jinkyu. They do have further members coming up. Team Spirit off the back of those deaths down bottom. You know, Yatoro, he'll move himself up to the top half of the map to farm up here. Tier 1 tower will be lost. PSG LGD with an early objective.
Yep. They're just evening out the map, swapping sides here. You see even a scan going out on the trees, making sure that nothing's here setting up. And one of the best ways to deal with Tinker is that you want to try to get these early towers, because Tinker abuses the towers on the map in order to fight. It provides him with safety, a place that he can TP to, come in and out, use all of his mana, go back to base, do it again. So it's important for Team Spirit to try to get the towers early, because once Tinker comes online, it's going to be very difficult for them to do it.
See what they look to head over next. Spirit staying together. I'll take some of the jungle away from PSG LGD.
Yep. So Tinker just finished up the Blink. This is going to be their first timing to fight. You have Rupture up. Look for that Rupture into Tombstone combination once more, with a Tinker TPing in and dropping lasers and rockets.
Will have to be done without the Haunt. That's still out for about 80 seconds.
It looks like they're playing it patient. They don't feel rushed to make this move yet. And this is another of the nice parts about Undying. Unlike most 5s, he has the ability to farm jungle camps quite easily because he just drops a Tombstone, and the Tombstone deals damage over time and spawns all these zombies that allow him to farm these camps and get some extra gold. So he's closing in on a 6th.
Yatoro, space is here. Clearing up the stacks. Keeping his farm on par with that of Arme. Having an equally good time, of course, building straight into the stats right now. Falcon Blade into the S&Y, he has the buff up with the Empower.
Yep. As soon as that Empower runs out, look at Collapse. He immediately runs over. And this goes back to what Seb talked about, right? This game is more about the Empower. They're not playing around the Skewer in the same way that they were in the previous games. As a smoke coming down bottom.
See if the 3 members of Spirit can find some action. They do have 6 on the supports. Static Storm and the Fear ready to play with. PSG LGD, they're doing a great job of avoiding this. Arme is down here on his own.
Yeah, it looks like they're waiting for the Haunt, but Arme is about to get caught. Spirit have sniffed him out.
Let's see if the 3 have the damage. Try and set up with a root, but not going to get the connection. The glimpse back is there into the Static Storm. TPs are coming over. Arme, is he tanking up to live through the Static Storm? He's still alive, and in fact, he's able to turn. The Tornado does catch him, but is it enough damage? Arme will live, and it will be Spirit that lose the 2 heroes off the back of that attempt.
Yep, and in the meanwhile, you see, as always, Team Spirit really smart about their map movement. Yatoro moves into the enemy jungle, starts farming here. Tinker's forced to come top and defend the tower, and despite losing their 2 supports, they're applying the pressure. And whenever Tombstone's used, you're going to see LGD kind of wait up. So this is 40 seconds that they know Yatoro is most likely going to be allowed to farm pretty freely. And that's why he's up here in the top lane playing so aggressively. Collapse is the next target.
Trying to chase Faith Beyond. Not going to get in range for the Rupture. Collapse into the trees, hard to find. They won't get the setup. About halfway towards his Blink Dagger Collapse.
Yep, much better vision game this time around for LGD. Their wards are not getting dewarded the same way they were in the previous games. They actually have quite a lot of vision here to play with, and a lot more information than we've seen them have in the previous 2 games of the series.
There's a calm start here once again, but very close. 13 minutes in, less than 1k in it. PSG LGD, despite the 2 rough games they've had so far against Spirit, seemingly regaining their control that's managed to drive them straight through the upper bracket into this grand finals. Let's see if they can keep it up. Bottom, Spirit. Start for a bit of a poke on to Y. Just the 2 of them is not enough to deal with the Undying. Not going to look to commit anything else here, Spirit. They know there's potentially backup behind the Undying.
Yeah, and the Tinker's deciding to go for the Aghanim Scepter. The way this works is whenever he lasers someone, they lose a chunk of their maximum HP. So versus these type of heroes that Team Spirit has, he's going to be very, very quick at killing them out.
Look at this quick move. Yatoro, he's in on a Faith Beyond. They're looking to try and burst the Bloodseeker, but the counterplay comes in. Arme with the Haunt, looks to collapse, jumps over towards Yatoro. Yatoro trying for the TPO, he's away. But Collapse, there'll be no escape for him.
Yeah, just great presence here from LGD. Now they're the ones that are allowed to respond, and it seems like they understand now how Spirit's playing the pace of the map, and they understand what Spirit wants to do. They're going to make assumptions based on your movement, and it feels like LGD are getting a better and better read of it. And yeah, I think that's largely due to the fact that they're able to establish more vision on the map this time around.
Yatoro, back to the farm. Wants to at least get his S&Y done before turning up to the fights. But even with just that, the BKB may be something that he wants to hold back until he has as well. Tinker Laser will never be fun to play against as a PA when he's trying to focus targets. Bottom lane. See another attempt with a Static Storm. This time round, do they have enough damage? They've got the catch up to Arme. He's trying to get away, but he will fall. This time round, Spirit, they'll get the big kill, but it has cost them both supports lives. We'll see Toronto Tokyo trying to escape, but they got any way to find him here.
There's one more sentry.
He's into the trees. He's out for the
There is a lift and a glimpse.
Ooh! Not quite able to get round to the trees to get that set up as Toronto Tokyo makes it out of there. They lose 2 supports. They get the Spectre. You happy with that if you're Spirit?
I think Spirit's okay with it. I think this is like LGD recognize that our Tinker is so strong right now. There's no real counterplay. Even if the PA gets on top of him right now, the PA doesn't deal enough damage to burst him. So I think for LGD, you want to try to abuse this timing where your Tinker's very strong and he's outputting damage. And Ahmed dying once or twice here or there while he doesn't have Haunt isn't the worst for them, as long as they get some sort of response in return.
Back to the farming, and 800 or so, the axe to be done on Arme. They are on track to hit a very good timing. And we've seen already the responses from PSG LGD each and every time Spirit try and make a move have been top tier. But now the move that Spirit can make, it's going to be much more deadly. Collapse, the Blink Dagger on its way over to be in his hands. We saw what he was achieving last game when he was jumping all over the place. Let's see if he can pull it off again and start to literally tear PSG LGD apart with his abilities to just grab them and throw them around the battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. But this game is much more challenging than the previous ones. There's going to be rockets flying at you. There's going to be tombstone zombies. You have many things that are going to get in your face, as well as the Bloodseeker Bloodright. So he's going to have to both navigate these spells and make sure that he doesn't get caught before that. Plus, on top of that, there's a Haunt, right, to provide all this vision for LGD. So I feel like the way the game is shaping up, it's falling a lot into Yatoro's hands. And he's proven that he can do it. But his farm and the way he plays his teamfight out is going to be very key in order for them to be able to stand a chance against LGD.
No, absolutely. As I say, this BKB, if he can get this quickly, that's going to be a huge nuisance. Not too much they can do through it. The Rupture being the main one. But if the setup's there and Collapse, Miposhka, Mira, they're able to hold the heroes in position. This PA is not going to have to step around the fight too much. As long as they're able to stand in position and get the hits in, they can have the heroes brought to them.
Absolutely. Ahmed finished up his Aghanims, and once they get this timing coming, you see LGD immediately smoke up. They're checking for wards. They drop a sentry to block the Ancients. They know the PA is playing in this area. Unfortunately, they just made the wrong guess. So you either here are going to assume that he's at the two camps up in where they are right now, or that he's playing at the Ancients. But look at Yatoro. He sniffs it out.
It's so hard to catch this man. He's just always a step ahead.
I mean, the way they're reading the map is just very intelligent. I think they realize when the Spectre runs back to base that, hey, something's probably happening, right? He's not just running back to base because he wants to. They know that the item is very likely coming. And then when all the heroes then disappear, that is like another sign for Yatoro to be like, okay, I can't show.
We're going to see the attempt onto Toronto Tokyo down bottom. Zame, he'll jump over. Sentry still down. Toronto Tokyo try and hide himself in the trees, but they'll stay on top. Same time over towards the mid. They will lose faith beyond. The counterplay was made by Spirit. So the TP out as well. Mira gets back to safety, so 1-for-1 across the map here.
2 seconds for the skewer. Glimpse. Skewer back.
They've got the dagger slow to set it up. He's able to dodge the decay nicely so that he didn't get hit, could still get the blink off. But now Arme, he's ready to come back in. Yatoro's off to the side. The rocket's not enough, but nothing to say. Jumps in to finish him off. The fear, the counterplay here from Spirit. Nothing to say, is caught underneath the tower. Have they got enough damage here from the Willow and the Magnus to start onto the two of them underneath the tower? Nothing to say. Surely going to go down. He will collapse. Skewer over into the trees. Collapse. He's still alive here. Can they quite find him? Wise coming back over. Steps into Collapse. Finally, they burst him with a Fame Ball. But this battle underneath the tower, it's costing PSG LGD lives as well. The route down, catching the two, pushing them back into it with a deafening blast. Arme, he's going to turn back over towards Toronto Tokyo. He's going to jump in, close the gap onto the Invoker Mirror Maposhi. Can they help him out? They cannot. Arme able to finish off Toronto Tokyo as well.
That was beautiful. I love the way Nothing to Say played that team fight. He recognized that if this PA is dead, there's no damage coming out of the Spirit draft. So trading his life for PA is really what enabled this entire fight to happen. You'll see a lot of Tinker players just, they're like, I'm not going to go in, I might die. But he recognized that my death is worth it if I can take the PA with me. Just beautifully executed there from LGD. Ame also, small thing in the fight, TP's back to base, heals up, uses Aghanim Scepter to jump back into the team fight and get those last couple of kills.
And I mean, it's crazy. We're seeing the power of that Shadow Step. He's in and out consistently, that 30-second cooldown. Easily able to do it a couple of times in a team fight.
Yeah. Mira, nice play. Knows there's no stuns that can catch him here, so there's no skewer on the Rubik. He's not going to get caught during that. We have another big interesting item coming up. There's going to be the Holy Locket for the Undying. And once he has Soul Rip maxed out, okay, he already has Soul Rip maxed out. Together with the Holy Locket, this healing is ridiculous. So basically the way it works is the more units there are, the more you're going to heal. And with Tombstone and the way it functions, you just spawn a bunch of extra units. So you're almost always going to get that maxed out heal. So any sort of healing tool, together with Spectre's Dispersion, just deals incredible amounts of damage in the team fights. I feel like LGD's draft is really coming together now.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a way that we just haven't seen from them so far in this series. Mid lane, they're looking for the jumping onto Toronto. Tokyo will be able to turn with a quick tornado. The attention from PSG will turn over towards Mira. Into the Shadow Realm though. They still want to dive this, dropping down the Tombstone, just full aggression from PSG LGD, diving past the tier 1 tower. The Rockets, they're coming in on Toronto Tokyo. He's got to get out, but he can't. Army! He's in straight on top of him.
That's just beautiful. They're abusing these vision tools so nicely. You have the Tombstone, you have the Bloodseeker. There's so many ways to get vision in these team fights.
I mean, this Arme Spectre's looking pretty spooky. He's picking up the kills, the involvement here. PSG LGD just fighting in a way that we haven't seen from them so far in this series. We'll see the jump forward onto Faith Beyond. Underneath the tower, he'll be caught, but the heal comes out. He is trapped in the Static Storm, trying to run, but the Thunderstrike finishes him off. TP's coming in from Spirit. Y trying to dive in onto Yatoro, another soul rip, healing Y up. He's going to stay on top of the PA, but the hits come out. Yatoro takes him down.
He's able to get away. Oh, that was close.
See if they can pick up Mira as well. They can. Nothing to say. In with the laser. And out he goes as well, picking up the action. 2K lead now for PSG LGD. They're starting to break down Spirit.
Yep, they absolutely are, but a very, very important item is about to come into the game, and that is the PA BKB. He's 100 gold off of it, and he's going to have it in the next team fight. And the way this changes the game is the Tinker can no longer just laser the PA and force him to reset out. Yatoro's going to have 9 seconds where he decides what he wants to do. And if those 9 seconds get him the right kills, that's going to be everything they need in order to win the fight.
And during that time, you know, Yatoro, where's he looking first? Is it sort of this Tinker? Does he have to just commit onto Nothing to Say to eliminate the threat from for the rest of his team?
I mean, the ideal scenario, right, is that you kill the Tinker with the PA BKB, because the only thing really covering you against the Tinker is that BKB. Once that BKB runs out, you're going to see the Tinker lasering you, rocketing you, refreshing, laser rocket again. So the ideal scenario for him is he's allowed to meld and kind of hang around the fight as it breaks out, and then once the Tinker commits in, that's when he jumps.
We've got a smoke coming in from PSG LGD. They are very ready to fight. Especially with Arme. He's heading back to base to reset. He's ready to shadow step in if he's needed.
Tombstone on the high ground.
Yeah, Collapse is just TPing out. Excellent kinetic field from Eposhka. Stops them from being able to chase in. Put a stop to the escape here from Spirit.
Looks like Spirit might want to chase into this though, but they should recognize that Tombstone's been dropped on the high ground, and it might be a hard fight for them.
I mean, Yatoro, he's going to commit with the BKB. Just goes to work straight away onto Y. He should be able to get this. Yeah, Y's dead for sure. The crit comes in. Y will fall.
LGD are hanging around though. They recognize the importance of this BKB.
Yeah, they've got a bit of a window now to maybe punish your Spirit. Stick around, but they won't. Back behind the tier 2 tower, Spirit will hold back.
Yeah, it's a tense game. This BKB really is going to be important. So using the first 9-second charge for the Undying, it's okay, but it needs to lead to something. You know, this opens up some time. This gives them some time to farm. Hopefully they can deward some of the vision that LGD are playing with. And if they manage to do these things and they can reset the map to a position where they can farm up and they can get to the PA shard, they can get these items that the PA needs in order to punish the LGD draft, then it's all good. But if those BKB charges get wasted for support kills that don't lead to more, then it's problematic for them.
PSG LGD, they're trying to sneak the Roshan. Won't be the quickest though, and already actually deciding that they don't want to spend any further moments committing. The Spirit potentially around the area, and they are. Spirit more than happy to fight. Link RP at the ready. The big ult Sarah for PSG LGD though as well. Haunt good to go again for Arme. Few hundred gold away from the Manta style as well.
Yeah, Y leading the charge. All he needs to do is get that Tombstone down before the fight starts, and he's going to do it as soon as the smoke pops.
He's going to pop it down immediately to see what he can find. Will just be Mira. The Shadow Realm and a TP out will get him away from this, so now no Tombstone for the fight.
Yeah, but he does have that level 10 talent. This was recently added. The minus 15 seconds Tombstone cooldown makes it less of a committal when you use it.
Well, Toronto Tokyo, he's going to end up walking into the Bloodseeker mid. Faith Beyond just turns straight away upon him. Toronto Tokyo was not prepared for that at all. Just standing there in the mid, and Faith Beyond finds a very tasty surprise.
And now, if the Undying would have had that Tombstone ready, he would have had that ulti ready, you could have seen LGD potentially poking at the Roche. But what they ideally want is for... okay, they actually already do have the Mantle Inspector, so never mind. But that is a big Roche tool. Once you get Mantle Inspector, you have the Desolate to deal true damage to the Roche, and then it goes down very quickly. But they're happy with the pace of the game right now. They're happy with how it's playing out.
You see
Shard
Collapse.
finished on PA.
He's coming across this tree line. He knows that Nothing to Say is playing here behind the tower. He's going to try for the catch, won't get it. Goes for the attempt, but Nothing to Say out of range.
And power stolen by Rubik as well, by the way. So the Spectre is now matching the PA's farm speed.
About 2k in it at the moment between Arme and Yatoro, but definitely having that ability on their side as well will help him close the gap. Online for the Skadi next after the Manta.
Yeah, intense game. Both teams just holding their high grounds, understanding where they're strong. Neither of them willing to fight into the other team's vision. If you look at how Y is positioned, he's standing right outside of that ward until he's ready to run in.
Do they want to fight this Spirit? They're on the low ground, Tombstone dropped. As soon as it's out, Team Spirit, they'll retreat.
Yeah, I think this is a very intelligent thing that LGD have recognized in this game. They've been dominated in vision for 2 games straight, and they feel like, you know what, maybe they're better at warding than me. How do I solve it?
Or collapse.
Pick heroes like a vision.
He's going to look to get the grab on the Faith Beyond. The BKB is popped. He's going to look down the RP, catches the 2-con. Sunstrike comes in. They kill off Faith Beyond. The Static Storm is onto Arme, but Yatoro's going to look to bail out. Collapse as well. Go for the TP away. He gets out. They all get out on Spirit.
Oh, Zenku just barely missing the RP on the PA there. That would have been a massive kill. But you see this from Spirit, right? As soon as that BKB is ticking low, he has to TP out of the fight.
Yeah, they know exactly when to sort of just get out of there. They get their kill, they get their trade. They know not to push it for anything more. Team Spirit knowing the exact moment to call it quits and reset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yatoro is playing this game excellently. But I do worry, once this BKB starts sticking out, the Tinker's closing in on a Hex, right? So even the threat of potentially jumping on him is going to be hard. You see Yatoro's also buying that Desolator. It's not a basher. It's not a tool item that will allow him to necessarily kill the Tinker if he has that Hex.
They're going to go for the Roche now. They know there's no RP.
Yep.
So if they have the damage to take this out and see if Spirit still want to try and make a jump into them.
Yeah, so between the laser, the Mantle Spectre, the Undying damage
Gonna
amplification.
get the fear quite nicely timed. Roshan is very low. Is there any potential for a steal?
Yeah, absolutely. Yatoro might go.
He's not able to get in. He's not able to get in. Arme gets the kill. The Aegis on the Spectre now. Spirit, they've got to be cautious. Yatoro pops the BKB, but he's already been burst so low. Throw out the daggers, but they're surrounded by PSG LGD. Maposhka as well, caught in the river. They couldn't make the jump in time, and Yatoro just getting burst so heavily before he could actually get the BKB off there.
Yep. Excellent gameplay from LGD right now. They're banging on all cylinders.
They are. We did not see anything close to this in the first 2 games. PSG LGD finding their confidence, their fire, as they're hitting back hard here in this 3rd game.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel like the way that they've approached Vision this game is just so smart. I think this is what they were missing in the first 2 games. These tools that provide them with Vision, and the adaptation to recognize that is amazing.
And just Arme jumping around the map. Collapse this time round. The damage too overbearing from Arme and his illusions.
All right, so for the side of Spirit here, I think it's getting increasingly difficult. You're starting to feel the pressure of the Tinker. You recognize that, you know what, there's that Hex, there's that Aghanims, and once my BKB's out, I'm not really sure how to fight into these heroes. And we haven't really seen Toronto Tokyo in this game. He hasn't really had a game, so this Tinker pick from PSG LGD, it's played out beautifully.
It's definitely turning into a game where when you look at the farm on the course, a lot is on Yatoro's shoulders, whereas on the side of PSG LGD, the wealth very evenly split between Nothing to Say and Arme, both of these cores, and just in combination with one another. Spectre, Tinker, nobody wants to play against a incredibly fun one of those. In mid lane as well, Jin-Q, he's in, using the RP to catch Yatoro, completely off guard. He wasn't ready for that at all. We'll now see them try and turn towards Faith Beyond, but the Soul Reveal comes out. The Meteor crashing down on the Bloodseeker. They find him in return. Mirror Dusted in position here. Wyatt trying to look towards him, but the field holds back the Undying. Mirror gets away. But a quick move there from Jin-Q.
Yeah, there's still the Haunt ready, though, if they want to look for more.
See, jump over towards Toronto Tokyo. He's out of mana. He's out of luck. Arme continuing to be an absolute beast this game.
The team fights are just so hard for Spirit, and especially if Yatoro isn't there to play the fights for them. They really need him. What a beautiful initiation from the Rubik there with the RP. You know, whiffed the one earlier up top, but gets the more important one here mid.
I mean, they're down 8k at the moment. How on earth do they just approach any sort of team fights now at this stage with the Spectre just jumping into their faces? And as you say, the vision, the counter abilities from PSG LGD to just disrupt any sort of move or jump that Spirit are trying to make themselves. It seems that this time round, Spirit, they're the ones in the impossible position.
Yeah, I think they're off balance, right? They've probably played this entire tournament playing off of vision advantage, having information advantage. And in this game, they don't. They have one Tinker ward in an area where they can't really punish Tinker. That's far up top. They're not really going to bring their heroes to that side of the map. And then in the bottom area, the only ward that they have to fight around is also an area that you won't really see LGD approaching.
We'll see this move mid. Atos into the rupture. Toronto Tokyo in trouble. They'll put the BKB. We'll see Arme heading on top of him. We'll get glimpsed back. And we'll give the space for Toronto Tokyo to stand his ground. The rupture to wear off. Looking for setup on the side. They get the catch onto White. Yatoro, he'll commit. Jumps in. Does get caught up on it. Hanks though. He's through. Jumps in. BKB off in time though. Yatoro. He'll survive. Over towards Faith Bian he goes. He won't chase further. The Sunstrike just off the mark. Faith Bian will live, but so will Yatoro. That time getting so close once again to being burst. The life still coming in big. Did just grab that Paladin sword before that last play. Almost certainly saving his life there with a big burst heal through the crits.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, where did that healing come from? I did not see that coming. So yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And he gets that second hex off. That's the one team
that's
fight.
Scary.
It's really coming down to, those micro decisions that you make in these team fights. He thought he could get the burst damage out in time. Seemed like the wrong choice this time around.
32 minutes in. PSG LGD still incredibly comfortable position. Look at the map control as well. They've only lost one tower so far in this 32 minutes. Very impressive control and just sort of forcing Spirit to almost play a different game than they would have wanted to. It was clear that Spirit came into this wanting to deal with PSG LGD the same way they had done in the first two of this series. It's not worked this time. Spirit, we're going to have to see something different from them. Something that we have seen before in previous series, but not something they've necessarily brought out today.
Yeah, and if you click on Yatoro, you're going to notice that he's feeling the pressure of the Tinker. That's a refresher queued up.
All right.
And if you think about how PA works, that's really mainly for the BKB. He feels like he needs that extra duration of Black King Bar in order to be survivable in these fights and win the game. It's a really, if it works out, this will be a genius item. I'm really interested to see how it plays.
Focus around the mid lane here for Spirit. Try and
what a play by Y. He put his courier on the hill to scout out the ward.
Collapse is going to still get the jump on him, and immediately the telekinesis comes out for Jinkyu. Catching Collapse in the combo. Collapse took over the TP out, but the Yules is there. Yatoro trying to get in with the BKB. He'll turn over towards Arme, but Arme just jumping all over the place. Yatoro has to go with the BKB TP out. Collapse goes down. Yatoro will be able to save himself. PSG LGD, they're looking to see if they can chase for more. Faith Bian trying to run down Toronto Tokyo. But the Invoker, just as speedy as himself, will manage to break away.
What an unbelievable play by Y, though. He just put his courier on this hill, waiting for that ward to come out, recognizing that if they smoke, middle lane's where they're going to go.
I know they're going for more. They're ready to try and get the jump in onto Yatoro, but Yatoro blinking straight over to the safety of Mirror on the high ground. Means they won't get a further catch in. PSG LGD, they'll now look to back off. Still 30 seconds without Collapse.
Yep, the pressure is on. We see nothing to say. Buying that Aeon Disc. He was queuing up the BKB, recognizing though, the problem for me is not really the magic damage. It's potentially getting locked down by the PA and getting bursted. So Aeon Disc will solve that problem for him. And their items are just gearing them up to not die. You see also, same thing for Ame. He knows that PA doesn't really want to buy an MKB. It's not an item you traditionally see on the PA. It forces PA to deviate from his standard item build. So buying that Butterfly here is going to force the PA to play his game. And now the PA is suddenly reacting to the Spectre's item instead of the other way around.
Because what do you do in this situation now, Yatoro? What is the call with his next item?
It's a hard decision, right? Yeah. And this is what LGD are doing so well. They're forcing you into a position where you might make a mistake. Maybe he buys the wrong item. Maybe he now decides to go for the MKB, but then his BKB is too short to fight. Or you're just making this problematic for Team Spirit. You want to make it as hard as possible for Yatoro to do what's right.
He's even thinking about the Ags as well. A lot of options here for Yatoro.
Yeah, a difficult choice. I don't know what the right one is.
And we'll see if he does either. A very tough place to play from.
Yeah.
Down 13k. Both nothing to say, and Arme's power just continuing to grow.
And we've talked about this a lot, but Roshan's about to spawn. Heroes start moving over to the top side, secure that area. Y already has the ward down. Notices there are no heroes there. That means we know where Spirit are. An immediate smoke over.
collapse. Ooh. He's out with a blink. Same can't be said for Miposhka though. The Disruptor will die. Mira and Yatoro, this is a bit of a spooky place to be. Yeah, they'll have a poke and then immediate TP out. They're not messing around. They know how quick PSG LGD is going to be with these responses. It's collapsed. He's on a cliff. Nothing to say. He's quite happy to join him.
Not really quite sure what was going on there. Maybe he was attempting to D-ward while he saw the hero's bottom and saw the TPs on the tier 1 bot tower. But Roshan has spawned. Click on Y. He has everything ready. Tombstone ready. Ulti ready. This Rosh is going to go down extremely quickly as soon as Ame connects over.
I mean, in 50 seconds without collapse, it's unlikely they're going to be able to do anything without him alive. Is there any world that they buy back to contest this, or do you just let this go?
I feel like based on the way they're positioned, it might be hard to get there in time.
Yeah.
So the buyback option probably is not there. It seems like Yatoro now has seen this Tinker buying Daeon Disc. So what does he do? He buys the appropriate item to response. He's going to go for the Nullifier.
All right. So many choices, and Yatoro, he's got to make the right one.
I think Team Spirit have recognized that as long as this Tinker's alive, there's no way that we're going to win the long fight. And we're going to constantly be forced to TP out as soon as Yatoro's BKB ends. And for Team Spirit, I think the way that you need to fight here is you need to set it up in a way where you initiate, force the Tinker to show himself, and then have Yatoro go in. And at the same time, flip side for Team Spirit, for PSG LGD, you know that your 4-man is stronger. If both Yatoro and the Tinker stay out of the fight, you have the advantage. So just don't show nothing to say too early in a team fight. Allow your team to play the game 4v4, and then come in and beat the PA as soon as he commits.
Again, falling back into a bit of a peaceful era here for Team Spirit, at least, where they don't have any interest in meeting PSG LGD head-to-head whilst there is the Aegis on Ame.
And for the first time in this game, Spirit has finally been able to establish some sort of vision in the bottom area of the map. We noticed them doing this time after time. When they fall behind, they like to take over the enemy triangle. They feel like it's a comfortable place for them to fight in. And even in this game, you notice it. Here we go again. Up into this Radiant Triangle, or Dire Triangle. Wait for the Tinker to show up. If the Tinker comes to that wave, they're going to be right on top of him. But it seems like Nothing to Say has played plenty of Tinker games.
He
recognizes that this is the only way I might get caught.
Yeah, he's got a lot under his belt here, Nothing to Say. As Ame, a quick jump over to the bottom lane, adding another kill to his scoreboard. 9, 1, and 15.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, he's gone for the Haunt Illusion damage on 25.
And we'll see here. An attempt of a play, Yatoro is going to get caught out by the bash. And he's got to get out of it. Yatoro, he'll go for the BKB TP out. The disarmament is there under the Spectre, so no chance of a bash. As Yatoro will get out the same. Not to be said for Toronto Tokyo, though, as Nothing to Say has his number.
I mean, Nothing to Say has really turned it up this game. I mean, I'm really impressed with his Tinker decision-making. It's just very, very intelligent. Has not gotten caught a single time farming lanes, I think. And the way he teamfights is just beautiful. He knows what to wait for. He knows who to look for. This is a completely different PSG LGD.
It really is.
Compared to the first two games.
It really, really is. It's looking fantastic. This is the power that we've seen from PSG LGD in the series before, in this run in the upper bracket. And it's coming out just where it's needed the most. They were knocked down hard in the first two games, and I think a lot of people were definitely going to be interested to see if they could somehow regain that control. It's not an easy place to be in, as you said. For them, the pressure incredibly high in this. They will not accept anything less than first place.
Yeah, absolutely. We have another fight brewing. This is the only side of the map that Spirit has wards on. So Spirit are not willing to take this team fight into LGD. I'm really curious what fight they're going to look for. This is the one, I think. Can't go on Ame, though. The Aegis protects him.
2 minutes still with that safety on the Spectre.
But yeah, if we think about the mentality of LGD coming into this game, right, the pressure was definitely on them. I mean, Johan and Seb talked about what they saw backstage, what they saw in their expressions. I'm sure this kind of momentum for them is huge. And it's something that you need in order to win TI, right? You need to have that attitude of champions.
Look at this jump. Look at the dust out. BKB, we still see the jump from Ame. He's in with the bash onto Toronto Tokyo. Let's push back with a deafening blast, but they're in with the grab. Nothing to Say. He's in with the nukes.
He's playing with so much confidence on this Tinker. I was talking about how he needs to wait out for the PA, but he recognizes, you know what, there's no way to PA is bottom here, and just full commits into their base.
He's level 26 on this Tinker right now.
He is incredibly farmed. He's going to finish a Bloodstone too, or an Octarine Core, sorry.
I mean, without a doubt, we saw how much Collapse could do last game when he was just in the lead, ahead, just playing around with his food. He's got to make some big moves here from the defensive position as he is losing teammates around him to the consistent dives from PSG LGD. He'll try and get the grab hit onto Arme. It's not going to happen. Forced back to the fountain as PSG LGD, they've got all the space in the world to push in onto the tier 3. Can Team Spirit get them out of here? There's no buyback on Toronto Tokyo, still down for 30 seconds. And without Mirror as well, they'll have to, by the looks of it, at least let one set of racks go down here. There's no defense to be had quite yet for Spirit.
That's so hard to fight into this Tombstone. You saw Yatoro kind of thinking about it. He was looking for that potential wraparound, but recognizing that, you know what, my team won't be able to support me. Even if I can catch the Tinker in the backlines, I don't have the power to kill him on my own.
Look how much money he's got. 6K gold in the bank here. Nothing to say. He can really start picking up whatever he wants now. Just filling up those inventory slots.
Yeah, absolutely. Finishes up that Octarine Core. Just wants the mana pool. Ooh.
We'll have a momentary pause here. 15 to 30. 24,000 net worth lead for PSG LGD. The numbers looking very good for them right now.
I have a hard time. I'm trying to think of scenarios for Spirit. It feels difficult to find a way to do it. But I really like this choice from Yatoro. I think this refresher could be genius. It could just be the thing that they need.
I mean, the problem is, even if they get these kills right on the defensive Team Spirit, it's a Spectre and a Tinker. You kill these heroes, they're buying back. Their boots are traveling over. They're haunting in. They're shadow stepping back into the action. Killing them once is not going to be enough. PSG LGD will use the opportunity to get in and destroy you, even if they lose a core at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're totally right about that, Owen. And that is why they are so far ahead, right? They have all these options. They have all of these tools. But if anything could potentially catch them off guard, I mean, PA Refresher, when have you seen that? I think once that BKB runs out, expect Nothing to Say to blink in to be ready to Hex. And if he gets that Refresher off, if Nothing to Say didn't click on a PA, that could mean his death.
I mean, it would be quite something if this build does have the impact possible. But will it be enough? It seems like a pretty big ask here when they're as down as much as they are in this game 3.
Let me tell you, as a player in this position, these kind of pauses, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. It throws you off your momentum.
Well, for who? The team that's ahead or behind?
I mean, I'd say for both. Yeah. I think it's really sad for both sides. I wouldn't say it's like, oh, Spirit's getting an advantage. But when you are playing like the pressure, you're playing the way LGD are, your mind is so zoned in into thinking, what are they doing now? Where are they moving next? How far could they have potentially gotten in the time that it's gone from me last seeing them on the map? And all of these small micro senses that you have where, like, let's say Yatoro shows on the top lane and then 15 seconds passes, you know where Yatoro approximately could be because you know how fast the hero moves. Everything like that, it's thrown off by this kind of pause. And that's why usually, if you think about it, after pauses in pro games, you see somebody getting picked off or somebody making the wrong judgment call. And it's because this like micro senses that you're used to playing off of gets thrown off.
Especially in a game such high stakes here as the grand finals, the International 10. Spirit, as you can see, up 2-0 right now in this best of 5. But as this game 3 goes, looks like PSG LGD will be able to stop the potential of a 3-0 clean sweep here for Spirit.
I just really hope there's no initiation in the next 30 seconds after this pause, because that would really suck for both sides.
Here we go. We're ready to get the action back on its way, ladies and gentlemen.
I can feel my heart pounding with that unpause there.
You know how the players are feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looks like hopefully there's no initiation here, so we survived the pause.
Pretty far away from one another. Yatoro, just a recipe away from the refresher, so I certainly want to get that done. Ideally, maybe hit the 25 if he can before the next fight is forced.
Which talent do you take, though? The coup de grace is great. You get more damage. But the tripling stifling dagger might just catch out a support and one-shot it while you're not paying attention.
I feel like the coup de grace might be it because you got to kill someone. I mean, one of your items is a refresher. You're not maxed out on the damage.
Yep, you're
making sure that the crits are hitting harder. Could be pretty essential here for Yatoro. But then again, the triple is nice if you know like mega creeps are going to be coming in, if you feel like you're losing some lanes of barracks, you need to push back out. So
I'm also
the options
thinking
there.
for the team fight, right? How we know that Yatoro has to wait out. He can't fully commit straight at the start
That's
because then
true.
he'll be forced to waste his BKB.
And maybe they do have, of course, the Empower. You know,
Yeah.
the triple stifling daggers with the Empower on them. That's pretty nasty.
Quick fingers from Toronto Tokyo, but he's caught.
Yeah, they've got to catch it. BKB, and he'll try and walk away. See if he's able to make it out. He's been ruptured. He's going for the TP out, but the BKB comes to an end. And so does his escape. He'll try and hold them back with a tornado, but there's nothing more to hold them back with. Yatoro, he's going to be the new focus. Static Sword from Aposka down into the trees to try and stop the chase. Fabian committing with the BKB, but Yatoro will manage to make it out. Aposka as well in the trees, hidden out as he TPs.
Yeah, beautiful reset there from Team Spirit. I actually thought they were going to have way more casualties, but quick fingers from Yatoro, blinking on top of Mboshka. Great team play there with a Static Storm to cancel. Tinker potentially chasing for more kills.
So yeah, he has taken the chance here, amping up the damage. The gold for that refresher orb, just a few hundred away.
I'm so excited for this refresher.
Just
I'm
if
gonna
some
be
sort
honest.
of
I
big
just wanna
brain
see.
play comes out.
Yeah, exactly. I want to know how it plays out. And now he has it.
He does.
Immediate smoke up.
They would have seen him building, of course, where the perseverance is, but it's just a question of whether Nothing to Say in particular is ready for it to be complete for the next fight. As you mentioned, if he's out of position, he comes in with a second round of BKB and Nullifier. It could be deadly for Nothing to Say. You know, a man on his Tinker who's had a pretty free game so far, jumping all over the place and bursting down the lineup of Team Spirit.
Yep. BKB finished on Y. This Undying is not easy to bring down.
And look at his positioning as well, just stopping any chance of Spirit being able to make a move from their triangle.
Yeah. I mean, the problem really for Spirit, like, how do you kill the other heroes? If not PA. If PA can't commit on them, how does anything die?
Of course, PSG LGD there. You're going to be feeling very comfortable. Nothing to Say, and Arme more than happy to farm up sort of their 6th item. Looking for the Orchid into the Bloodthorn here for Arme. Nothing to Say. He's getting close to having the comfort of the overwhelming blink, maybe even holding on for his buyback as well.
Yatoro?
Oh,
he's caught.
He has been caught here. He needs help, and he needs it now. The BKB comes out. He has been ruptured, though. Not much that he can do, and Arme, he's in with the illusion, surrounds him. No way for Yatoro to get out. And of course, he did spend up on that refresher, so 100 seconds, no buyback on the PA.
Yep, LGD firing back strong. What a catch from Faith Beyond. And man, I feel like it just all ties back to the vision. This game, PSG LGD had vision. They were playing on even terms for most of the game. And
oh, Collapse, he tries to make the move, but the counter's there. Xingqiu with an instant lift. Holds him in his tracks. As it's another core out of the game. Collapse and Yatoro, no way of returning for this defense.
Skewer back on Mira.
They get the grab. Mira also to be blown up outside of the base. 3 dead on Spirit. PSG LGD, they're up to the racks.
That's gotta be so satisfying for Xingqiu.
Oh, yeah.
Collapse with a mag, just constantly skewering them back. And now finally he gets to do it himself.
Yeah, Collapse giving Xingqiu the respect as well there. With the words of Purge in the tip. I mean, this is what the PSG LGD fans expected to see from them in this grand finals. They just took a bit of time to turn up today. Needed a bit of warm-up. The first 2 games, that was that. But this game 3, full power here. Even just into the base, Arme just killing off poor old Maposhka.
And LGD are playing with such confidence. But at the same time, patience. Whenever they need to slow down, you know, they're doing it. Oh, the immediate Roche spawn. Nice. They're very happy about this, I'm sure.
And nothing to be done about this from Spirit whatsoever. So fall straight into the hands of PSG LGD. As we'll see, poor old Maposhka has tried his best to defend against the creeps, and then suddenly an Arme appears on top of him and disappears as quickly as he appears. But the job is done. Maposhka taken out. No place is safe right now from this Spectre.
Yep, and the Rubik gets the Aghanim's shard or scepter. This is probably one of my favorite Aghanims in the game. It's always a great feeling when you have it as Rubik. So one of the cool things about this that I don't think we've ever talked about is when you spell steal, and most teams aren't aware that you have an Ags, they kind of think, all right, Rubik used it. You hear the boing sound, and then you're, okay, I can use my spells however I want. But with the Ags, that throws it off. That just makes it easier for you to get those big steals that you want to get. So highly doubt Team Spirit to be ready for this, but to be fair, they've had a lot of time to sit in the base. Usually what you do during this time is you're starting to discuss everything. What is it that LGD can do? How do they approach this fight? What are they going to be looking for? What are we looking for? What are our objectives here? Which heroes do we need to go on? What spells do we need to save? All these things should be discussed for Spirit, and they should have a structured fight in mind here, because you can predict what's going to happen.
I mean, 40,000 gold down right now, Spirit. PSG LGD. It looks like a pretty smooth sailing here to the victory. Is there really anything the Spirit can pull off whilst this far behind?
I mean, it's a matter of finding the Tinker. I really think so. Of course, you can always win. In Dota, I feel like you always have the option of winning. And especially in late game, yeah, there's 40,000 net worth differentiating you, but there's no amount of net worth that will make up for a bad positioning or, you know, the clutch play. So formations is really important here for LGD. And if Yatoro can find some sort of backline kill, that could open the fight up entirely.
Approaching the final set of barracks here. They jump in underneath the tier 4s. They're in on him, Imposter. He's gone. Collapse will try and jump in with the skewer back onto Arme. Yatoro's committed onto the front lines with the BKB, but he's been disarmed, gets the Phantom Knives off. Now turns everyone's wide, but look how much HP White's got. Yatoro, refresher, doesn't want to commit for another round. Nothing to say, he's in with the X. They've locked down Yatoro. Yatoro in a fall, buyback at the ready. Instant smoke up from Spirit. Mirror. Set things up with the curse kind of get the glimpse back. He's looking for the skewer, but he's actually able to get out here with a Manta. Arme won't be grabbed back yet. Steps back to the safety of his team. PSG LGD still respecting the buybacks here from Spirit. They won't instantly push in onto the melee racks, but the rocket spam begins from nothing to say. Yatoro, he's going to look to try and jump outside of the base. He's able to jump it onto GQ. He's going to go for nothing to say, but nothing to say gets the blink off in time. Back onto the high ground he goes, but Arme's trying to get in. They get the skewer. Arme, he's in the fountain. There's the OP. They've got Arme. They've got him. He's in the fountain. Can he get out? He cannot. They've done it the once. Can they do it again? It's just the 3th of the meeples coming down. Arme, he needs help. He's in the fountain and it isn't his own. The skewer's attempted, but the Yules is there to stop the play. Arme, he'll be getting out of the fountain alive. GG is called. And PSG LGD will take this game 3.
I love Dota so much, Owen. That was so beautiful. Everything happened. You got the skewer into the fountain.
Oh my goodness.
Out of the fountain. They counter blink to skewer him in again. But no, the Yules. And then the stolen skewer, and you pull out a hero of your own.
They do.
The GG.
Wow. I mean, they fought right up until the end here in this game 3, Spirit, but they were too far behind. PSG LGD. I mean, this is them looking phenomenal and completely in the comfort zone. Something that, after seeing the first 2 games, it was understandable to sort of doubt if we were actually going to see them get to this place. But they have. They've hit back so hard here in game 3, PSG LGD. They'll get a game now. Spirit, they're still up 2-1. But Insania, could this be the beginning of a PSG LGD reverse sweep?
I mean, I absolutely think so. I think they identified a couple of really crucial things for themselves. This was not like a fluke win. This was not like, oh, we just did something right. I think they strategically understood we're getting outwarded. We don't have vision. We don't have information. And they addressed it in this game. I think they picked heroes that allow them to have vision in team fights, and they had the ability to fight back.
Wow, well, there we have it. We've had 2 scary games from Spirit, and now 1 very scary one from PSG LGD.